then all of a sudden the tire lets go, and you really get dizzy.
Boy, you can be running a solid race 1 minute, and the next thing you know, you look up, you're hanging on for life.
This place is pretty exciting for the fans to watch. Sometimes on the racetrack, it can get out of hand real quick.
Aggressive racetrack, and you know, you got to race it aggressive. You really don't race competitors here, you race the racetrack. You don't think about it, you go on and do your job, and if you know something happens, you just have to get over and go on. Bristol, isn't this something? It's next, and it's live, so don't go away.
Raceway in the northeastern mountains of Tennessee for the Busch 500 Winston Cup race. Good evening, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins. Not a seat available here tonight. They're even selling standing room for this Winston Cup event. Going into this race, a tremendous points battle going on. Dale Earnhardt is the leader in points with 2,910, and he has 4 wins here at this Bristol track. Second in the points, Darrell Waltrip, 2,769 points. And look at the success here for Darrell, 9 wins. Third in the points, Tim Richmond, and he has not had all that good success here. He did have a second last year. Well, working with me in the booth this evening, 2 colleagues, Larry Newber and Benny Parsons.
Thank you, Bob. Well, this is a cage-cornered wild animal of a racetrack, and I personally believe that you cannot find a more exciting racetrack or configuration of a racetrack anywhere in the world. A high-banked, half-mile paved track. With just 4 short-track races remaining, this being the first of those 4 on the schedule for this year, as you saw, we have a real battle for the points championship. Benny, I think we're getting to the point in the season where we're seeing one of the first real pivotal races in that run for the points championship.
We're getting to the point, Larry, that Darrell Waltrip always makes his charge to win his Winston Cup championship. He's won 3 of them, and right now is where he always made his charge. This year, he's always dominated the short tracks. The remaining 12 races, 1/3 of them are short racetracks. This spring, however, Dale Earnhardt dominated those events. But the one guy that we got to talk about is Tim Richmond. Out of the last 9 events, throw away a 15th he had a Michigan on a bad pit stop, he's either been first or second. If he can continue that at the short racetracks here, Bristol, at Richmond, at Martinsville and North Wilkesboro, he could be the next champion.
Well, one other fact that is always rearing its head is tires. The weather was also somewhat of a factor here today. When more on that, our colleague down in the pits, Jack Arute.
Well, Larry, tires are always a factor, and here's why. They connect the car to the track. And the track will be a factor tonight, not only for tires, but because of the weather that we had. There was some rain here early this afternoon that washed away a lot of the rubber outside of the groove. So when these drivers start to go passing, going around lapped race traffic, some of the front runners are going to be on what they call a green racetrack. Could be some problems. We'll have to wait and see. 500 laps is a long time. Let's go back topside to our host, Bob Jenkins.
30 of the top Winston Cup drivers in the country are set to go for 500 laps in the Busch 500, and it's all being brought to you by Ford. And your Ford start the engines. Let's check the starting lineup for tonight's race, the Busch 500. Starting in the front row, on the pole from Chemung, New York, car number 5, the Levi Garrett Exxon Chevrolet with a new track record, 114.665 miles an hour, Jeff Bodine. Outside the front row, from Ashland, Ohio, driving the Folgers Coffee Exxon Chevrolet car number 25, Bodine's teammate, Tim Richmond. In the second row, car number 22, Bobby Allison from Hueytown, Alabama, the Miller American Buick. Outside of the second row will be Ricky Rudd from Chesapeake, Virginia, in the number 15 Motorcraft Ford. Row number 3, defending champion Dale Earnhardt from Mooresville, North Carolina, in the number 3 Wrangler GM Goodwrench Chevrolet. Outside the third row will be Morgan Shepherd from Conover, North Carolina, in the number 75 Nationwide Pontiac. The fourth row, Terry Labonte in the Piedmont Airlines Oldsmobile car number 44. Outside the fourth row will be Neil Bonnet from Bessemer, Alabama, in the number 12 Budweiser Chevrolet. The fifth row consists of last week's winner at Michigan, Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia, in the number 9 Coors Mellingford. Outside the fifth row, Darrell Waltrip in the number 11 Budweiser Chevrolet. The sixth row, Harry Gant, number 33, the Circle K Skull Bandit Chevrolet. Harry's from Taylorsville, North Carolina. Outside of row number 6, the winner here in the spring, Rusty Wallace from St. Louis, Missouri, in the number 27 Al Ugard Pontiac. The seventh row, Chet Phillip in number 81, the Circle Bar Truck Corral Ford. Outside the seventh row will be Richard Petty in car number 43. The eighth row, Kyle Petty in number 7 and Dave Marcus in 71. The ninth row, Alan Kulwicki in number 35 and Joe Ruttman in 26. The 10th row, Bobby Hillen Jr. in car number 8 and Tommy Ellis in number 18. The 11th row, Rick Wilson, number 4, Michael Waltrip, 23. The 12th row, Eddie Bierschwal in number 17 and Brad Teague in 99. The 13th row, number 67, Buddy Arrington, and 52, Jimmy Means. The 14th row, Ken Schrader in number 90 and Dale Jarrett in 98. And in the final row, number 70, J.D. McDuffie, and number 6, D.K. Ulrich. Carrying our in-car camera for tonight's race will be Rick Wilson, the number 4 Kodak Oldsmobile.
Favorites in this race, you have to look to the front row. Richmond has been red hot lately. He sits on the outside. Jeff Bodine just seems to be a Bodine racetrack. Dale Earnhardt won twice here in 1985, and prior to that, Darrell Waltrip owned this place.
They'll be coming around for the green flag this time. Weather could be a factor. It has rained here today, and there is a big dark cloud in the southwestern sky. It appears, however, to be going more south than west, and it could spare us from the rain tonight. Well, the pace car is bringing him down slowly. It ducks off the racetrack. Now, Jeff Bodine and Tim Richmond lead the 28 other starters down for the green flag. The green is out, and the Busch 500 is on from Bristol International Raceway. Tim Richmond has grabbed the lead from his teammate Jeff Bodine. Tim started outside that front row, and he's going to lead lap number 1 out of 500 here tonight. Jeff Bodine is right on his tail, though. Ricky Rudd has fallen into third spot. Then Bobby Allison, Morgan Shepherd, Dale Earnhardt, Terry Labonte, and the number 12 car of Neil Bonnet. This is the completion of lap number 2, and still Tim Richmond has the lead.
Benny, Tim Richmond is not the fastest car out there. This could be exciting here early in this race.
It could be very exciting. And Jeff Bodine, that's his teammate, Tim Richmond. But, Larry, I really don't think he's too happy that Richmond beat him into that turn 1.
Richmond is going to lead lap number 3 also. They're pretty much running in single file formation with the exception of a pass being made in the rear of the field. But everybody pretty much settling down for a very long race. They know that you can't win a race in the first few laps, especially on a racetrack like this, and especially with 500 laps making up this race.
There are 13 of them. There you see them going by up front. It's Richmond, Bodine, Ricky Rudd, Bobby Allison, Morgan Shepherd in the 75 Raymont car, Dale Earnhardt, Terry Labonte, Neil Bonnet, Darrell Waltrip, Rusty Wallace, the winner in the spring, Bill Elliott, Harry Gant, and Richard Petty. Those are the first 3 in that long line following Tim Richmond around.
What a tremendous race Tim Richmond has had the last few races. As a matter of fact, he has been either first or second in the last 9 races throughout the 15th place finish at Michigan, and his performance has almost been flawless as far as winning or finishing in second position. Third and fourth, Ricky Rudd and Bobby Allison.
The first 2 cars started to pull away just a little bit, putting 3 or 4 car lengths between themselves and the Ford of Ricky Rudd.
This is just a half-mile racetrack. There is no drafting here. If there is any drafting, it's just a hint. Bodine and Richmond have come so close. Benny, they touched.
They did touch, and it hurt them just a little bit. We saw a moment ago 3 or 4 car lengths between the Ford of Ricky Rudd. Now it's just 1 car length between them.
Everybody playing it rather cool and cautious here in the opening laps of this race. Nobody has come really even close to getting out of shape. 8 laps have been completed. This will be number 9 when Tim Richmond comes around. They continue to run in the same order. Richmond, Jeff Bodine, Ricky Rudd, Bobby Allison, and Morgan Shepherd. And we have a car slowing down. That is Kyle Petty in the 711 Ford. And he is moving into the pit area. We have pits located on both the front straightaway and the back stretch here at Bristol. And Kyle Petty pulls in, and the Wood Brothers crew will try to determine what's wrong with this machine.
Tim Richmond is holding back that lead train so much as we continue to watch Kyle Petty there in the pits. There is Richmond, followed closely by Bodine and then Ricky Rudd. He is holding back that lead train of 13 cars, which he described earlier, so much it has become 15 cars, just barely out of our camera angle from that point. Dave Parkinson again and Joe Ruttman. There are 15 of them now in a row, and with about the same distance that you see between the first 5 on your screen right there.
Our in-car camera as we are riding with Rick Wilson on the racetrack. That's Bobby Hillen right behind him. Behind Hillen is the number 99 machine of Brad T. We're looking out the rear window of the Rick Wilson Kodak-sponsored Oldsmobile.
It's just dusk right here, and of course there have been special lights that have been brought in for this race, so the lighting is going to look a little unusual to you until it gets darker outside. But as it gets darker, watch for that picture to get better. Just some tremendous shots from inside of Rick Wilson's car. You're running about 1/2 of a lap behind the leaders, and there is Chet Phillip, whom Rick is following right now.
Right now, Rick Wilson is running in 19th position. Chet Phillip is in 18th. Phillip in that number 81 car had a great qualifying performance. Qualifying good enough for 13th starting position. There's the average speed after 10 laps, 110.275. So Rick Wilson continues to follow Chet Phillip in that 18th and 19th position. Tries to go the high side and cannot get the job done. Phillip maintaining that 18th spot. I think it's pretty obvious with this in-car camera how very little you can see when you're going around a corner here at Bristol.
It's very hard to see because the bank is so high that when you try to look ahead of you, all you can see is the roof of the automobile.
Wilson still unable to pass. Trying to do so on Chet Phillip. Now we go back up front and check on the progress of our leader. That is Tim Richmond in the Folgers car, number 25. Still running in second position is Jeff Bodine as we go down to Jack Arute, who has an update on the Kyle Petty story.
Well, when Kyle Petty came into the pits, the crew didn't know what was wrong, nor did Kyle Petty. Yet the motor just quit. They did all kinds of troubleshooting, and just moments ago they discovered what the problem was. The rotor underneath the distributor will not turn, and Benny Parsons, you know, that's generally indicative of possibly a timing change or the cam.
So Kyle Petty continues to sit in the pit area, and work is being done on that car, but he is losing valuable laps. The leaders are approaching some of the slower cars as we have a change for third position. That's Morgan Shepherd in the number 75 car, passing Ricky Rudd. And now Bobby Allison is also on top side of Ricky Rudd as they come out of turn number 4. And Bobby Allison goes into 4th, so Rudd on the low side of the racetrack is apparently having a problem.
What happened right now is that Ricky can't get to the top of the racetrack. Morgan Shepherd has shown the other fellows that the top of the racetrack is the fast way around. He went up there, but nobody else. Ricky Rudd got caught. He couldn't get up. Look, he's going for second place. He's got his eyes on Tim Richmond coming off the second corner.
Morgan Shepherd, you can see the car bottoming out, the sparks coming from underneath the car, but Morgan Shepherd has moved into the lead in a very gutsy performance, taking to the high side of this racetrack. The turn's banked at 36 degrees here. Morgan finding that the top groove is the best, at least at this point. Shepherd is now your leader. Richmond second, and a good battle for third between Jeff Bodine and Bobby Allison.
Like he was shot from guns, Morgan Shepherd, who was so... Earnhardt is very sideways, dropping a lot of smoke, lots of tire smoke coming from Earnhardt, and that had to punish those tires. By the way, back to the Morgan Shepherd story in just a second, they can probably go the distance on 2 stops here, but because of tire wear, and we expect more than 2 or 3 caution flags, probably more than 2 pit stops. And Earnhardt really showing that that car is either having something wrong, or tire is rubbing, or he has really rubbed that tire the wrong way, and he's showing a lot of wear.
Last night in the Grand National race, tires were definitely the story. Many cut tires because of debris on the racetrack, and it's pretty obvious that Dale Earnhardt is having a problem with the car here in the opening laps of this event. 25 have been completed, by the way, as Morgan Shepherd continues to hang on to the lead. And Tim Richmond, who was leading this race, has now dropped back to 4th spot. They continue to fight for position, and we'll continue to cover the action for you from Bristol International Raceway. We'll be back right after this. We are back back at Bristol International Raceway. Prime time, live coverage of Winston Cup Auto Racing. This is the Busch 500, and the leader is Morgan Shepherd from Conover, North Carolina. Running in second position is Jeff Bodine. Third, Bobby Allison. Fourth is Dale Earnhardt. Fifth is Tim Richmond. Sixth, Terry Labonte. Seventh is Neil Bonnet. Eighth is Rusty Wallace. Ninth, Ricky Rudd. And 10th is Darrell Waltrip. Let's go to the pit area, and this report from Jack Arute.
Bob, topside, you were mentioning about the fact that Earnhardt looked like he was being forced out of the throttle. Here's why. We checked with Richard Childress, his team owner, and he says the car is very loose. Dale says he can handle it till the first pit stop, but they will make adjustments at that time.
All right, so Dale Earnhardt, who we saw almost spin down at turn number 4 several laps ago, is having a handling problem. Adjustments will be made during the first pit stop.
We see Earnhardt. We don't see him on the screen right now, but he is running a little bit higher in the corner than most cars. He's up there where the 75 car is, Morgan Shepherd, trying to adjust for the looseness of the automobile.
Shepherd, as we look at 7th and 8th running Rusty Wallace and Neil Bonnet, Shepherd is the all-time leading winner in the sportsman cars, the Grand National sportsman cars at this racetrack, but he has never won in the Grand National cars. Rusty Wallace has been making a move the last few laps. Wallace, who was running about 10th or 11th, seemed to have set the fire aglow as he begins to move up.
Well, this is the car that Rusty Wallace won with here in the spring at Bristol. He has run the car a couple of times, but he still feels that it's a winning car. Now a battle developing here between Darrell Waltrip and Ricky Rudd, and that is for 9th position. And on the low side of the racetrack, Darrell Waltrip grabs that 9th spot.
I think that's trouble. If Darrell Waltrip can pass cars down on the bottom of the racetrack, I think that's trouble. There's some fellows making some awfully good time on the top of the racetrack right now, but I'm not sure that they're not developing some tire problems for themselves a little bit later on.
Darrell picks up another position also. He goes to the high side and passes Terry Labonte. That car is working. It can pass either high or low. A car into the wall. That's Morgan Shepherd, the leader. He did not make hard contact with the wall, but did get up and scrape it in the 4th turn. Did it damage the car, Benny?
I don't really know. It looks like it did because Morgan is off the pace considerably. Evidently, he has a tire going down. It's going to be coming in the pits.
Tough break from Morgan Shepherd, who asserted himself and took the lead from Tim Richmond, but now has a tire problem. He rolls into the pit area, and they'll make the necessary moves to put him back out there in competition. He slides to a stop. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Fortunes can change for your leader, Morgan Shepherd. He got into the wall, and actually they've had to change the right side tire. It's a quick stop, taking a little longer on the right rear. They drop the jack, and he's away. But that's costly. He's going to lose time.
He did lose a lap. Morgan Shepherd has gone down a lap. It is not all that difficult to make up a lap here at Bristol, but it's certainly something that you want to try to avoid. Here's a replay of what happened. Just as he went into the 3rd turn, something happened with the car.
I think that the right front tire went down, was slack, and when he went in the corner, he just could not turn the automobile.
Meanwhile, on the racetrack, here are the top 3. It is Jeff Bodine now in the lead, with Bobby Allison running 2nd and Dale Earnhardt in 3rd position. And just a lap ago, Bobby Allison was right on the rear bumper of Jeff Bodine, but Bodine now has put about 2 or 3 car lengths between himself and Bobby Allison.
Earnhardt is doing an excellent job. As Jack told you earlier, that car is running very loose for him. This is an indication that Dale is able to go much faster than what he's going right now. Allegedly, he's cooling it just a bit. By the way, as we watch the first 3 cars, Bodine, Bobby Allison, and Dale Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace is really picking them up and laying them down. Rusty Wallace is just outside of that camera shot right there. Wallace is running forward and moving toward the front. Richmond is now holding his own in 5th. Waltrip is 6th. Bonnet is 7th. Rudd is 8th. Richard Petty is 9th. He's got some distance between himself and Terry Labonte, who is 10th. Joe Ruttman is 11th. Bill Elliott is 12th. And Harry Gant is 13th.
Jack, was it a cut tire that brought Morgan Shepherd in?
Yes, Bob, it was, and it was a very small cut, as you can see, right down here. But what's very interesting is while this tire has been sitting here for about 3 minutes, 5 different pit crews have come by to check it out. That shows you the kind of concerns the competition has about tires and their condition.
Could definitely be a replay of last night when tires, as I mentioned earlier, were definitely a factor. Morgan Shepherd in the number 75 machine He is down a lap, and now here are the leaders lapping some of the slower traffic, and Bobby Allison again right up on the rear bumper of Jeff Bodine.
Bobby Allison has his car going as well tonight, Bob, as he has in a long, long time. Car running very, very well. I remember 2 or 3 years ago here, Bobby Allison ran extremely well. His steering wheel broke off. We might have done that race on ESPN.
Bobby Allison has 4 wins here on this Bristol track, so it is certainly not unfamiliar to him. Allison currently in second position. Now Dale Earnhardt there is on the bottom of the racetrack, passing Ken Schrader and putting a lap on him. Earnhardt still running third.
As a matter of fact, was that not the race when brother Phil came to the aid, or the attempted aid of Bobby over there in the bottom of turn number 3?
That was the time, loaned him a steering wheel.
Yeah.
Can you imagine going to the corner, breaking a steering wheel?
There's the average speed after 50 laps, 107.797 miles an hour. The race record here was set in July of 1971 when this race was run without a caution, 101.074. I think the chances of us running this race without a caution this year are pretty remote.
It is fairly remote because, as we can see, here's the top 3 cars. They're almost bumper to bumper. And that's basically the way this track is going to be all night, bumper to bumper. And you can see the cars going in the corner. They have to go in the corner very close. There's 2 cars going in the corner. Terry Labonte on the outside, Harry Gant on the inside. And they bounce around. They spin, they get sideways, and how they're going to get by without touching each other and causing a crash, I don't know.
Look at the left side of Labonte. There's a big crease on it. That happened about 30 laps ago. That was very early into the race when that occurred. So you can see that's an example of the kind of action that Benny's been talking about. And our pit sources indicate that Labonte may be among the first leaders to come in. Remember, this is a 500-lap race, half-mile racetrack, 56 laps down.
Pits, as I mentioned, on the front stretch and the back stretch. Dale Jarrett in car number 98 has come in for a pit stop on the back stretch. Chet Phillip is in the pit area here on the front stretch as Terry Gant gets sandwiched between Terry Labonte and Jimmy Means. There is the Terry Labonte pits, and they are readying for a stop. That should occur in just a few moments. Meanwhile, he continues to run side by side with Harry Gant.
I think Terry Labonte has went to the top of the racetrack, and the car is a little more comfortable than it was on the bottom. He's probably radioed his pit crew and said, wait a minute, I'll stay out here until I get lapped at least, or it gets a little bit worse than it is right now.
59 laps have been completed. We're watching the battle for 11th position, Terry Labonte and Harry Gant. And now Gant goes to the bottom of the racetrack and takes that position. Terry Labonte back to 12th. Now we might see Labonte making that pit stop. The crew is standing in readiness, but at the moment making no movement over the wall, so it'll be probably a couple of more laps before Terry does come in, if he indeed does so. Here we go back to the leaders now as they pass Rick Wilson carrying our in-car camera tonight. They continue to run in the same order. There is the leader, the Levi Garrett Chevrolet, driven by Jeff Bodine. Now Bobby Allison, the second place contender in the number 22 Miller American passes, and Dale Earnhardt in third.
Look how rough the racetrack is from inside the car. We see the cars moving around up and down. And folks, these cars have very heavy shocks, very heavy springs. When they move, the racetrack is bumpy. There's Earnhardt going right by. Down in turn 3 goes the Wrangler machine. Bobby Allison up in front, the Miller American Buick.
And watch for on the left side, Rusty Wallace. I've been watching Rusty the last few laps. He has been moving in on the leaders. He'll be creeping. If you see him in the rear view there, Wallace on the inside. He'll be on the inside of Rick Wilson. He is running in 4th position and seemingly catching the first 3 cars.
And this is the way it looks from the outside. There is Jeff Bodine completing lap number 64. Joe Ruttman in the Kenny Bernstein-owned Quaker State machine has come in for a pit stop, or is coming in. We noticed him last lap running very slow on the racetrack. And Joe Ruttman pulls in. Joe started this race in 18th position in that Buick, qualifying at 111.857 miles an hour. The hood is up. Larry McReynolds and the crew going to work. He was running in 10th position before he had to come in for this pit stop. Jeff Bodine leads Bobby Allison as we televise for you live the Busch 500. We'll be back right after this. Ken Schrader has crashed in turn number 1. The car is in the backstretch. Jeff Bodine in the pit area, but look at the angle that the car is sitting at. Several others in the pits also. That's Darrell Waltrip right ahead of Jeff, and he's going to have a heck of a time getting out of there. They back the car up. He puts it in gear and finally pulls out. He'll get out before anyone else. Also, Bobby Allison, Rusty Wallace, Dale Earnhardt, Tim Richmond, Neil Bonnet, Ricky Rudd, all of those in the pit area.
But the problem, Jeff Bodine, in getting his car in the pit sideways, he was only able to put on right side tires. His competition changed 4 tires. Now, either Jeff Bodine is going to come back in and change lefts. There we see him coming in the pits. He locks up. See the rear tires? But the front ones are moving. That means he has a little bit too much rear brake on the car, probably. He needs to adjust that. There is a knob in there. He can adjust that. He did not choose to come back in and change left sides. He probably will be at a disadvantage when the race starts back.
Well, Ken Schrader crashing up in turn number 1. The car slid along the outside wall to the middle of the backstretch. Jack Arute is with Ken at the moment.
And Kenny has come out of the car and actually did a wind sprint to the back pits here. First of all, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, Jack. I wish I could say the same for our car. Little Red Baron Thunderbird was doing us a good job. We had started 27th and probably moved up about 10 spots. We were just holding on. We must have cut down a right front tire or something. It went in and never started to turn.
You know, a lot of problems with tires tonight. Not the kind that we're used to, but cut tires. We saw it last night as well. One of the things that we discussed is the possibility that maybe because it's a night race, you can't see debris as well as you could, let's say, during a day race.
Well, it really is awful hard, Jack. You know, they've got a terrific sealer on this racetrack, and it's awful dark, and things don't show up real good. I don't know if we ran over something or what. More than likely we did, because we haven't really been having any trouble with tire splinters or anything. So, just one of the deals.
Well, one of the deals, though, we've got to remember this, is a cut tire has got nothing to do with a bad tire. That's just a twist of luck.
Ken Schrader, one of the early retirees. This is the accident as it occurred in turn 1.
Bob, I happened to be looking down there when Kenny went into the corner. I know people in the truck are saying you're supposed to be watching the monitor. I happened to be looking out in that direction, and Kenny's absolutely right. The car made no effort or indication whatsoever that it was going to turn. It went straight in.
74 laps have been completed. We are under yellow because of the Schrader accident, and we'll be back with more of the Busch 500. Still on here at Bristol, cleaning up the debris caused by the Kenny Schrader accident. Rusty Wallace was moving really well when this yellow came out. We'll try to contact him by radio and find out exactly how things are going for him.
Rusty Wallace, this is Benny Parsons, ESPN booth. How's the Oligarch Pontiac doing for you right now?
Well, guys, right now everything's on track. We've been from 12th all the way up to 3rd. At one point, the car's handling good. We were a little less at the start. I believe we got that corrected right now, so we're going for it. We want to make it 2 in a row.
Rusty, it seemed like the cars that were loose to begin with and having a problem as the race kept going seemed to get a little bit better. The cars that were a little bit too tight to begin with got a little worse. Is that the way you see it?
Well, I see that everybody had a problem, and I had a problem. So we're all in the same boat, and if my car was a little quicker than the rest of the field, we're running them down about a 10th and a half a lap, so I feel good. Nice talking to you, going back to racing here.
Okay, Rusty, good luck.
Now they're now forming the 2 abreast restart, as Rick Wilson will be on the low side of the leader, Jeff Bodine, when they come around to take the green flag. Their way they're running now, Bodine is the leader, Darrell Waltrip 2nd, Dale Earnhardt 3rd, Rusty Wallace 4th, Bobby Allison 5th, Tim Richmond 6th, 7th is Richard Petty, 8th Harry Gant, 9th is Ricky Rudd, and 10th is Neil Bonnet. Then after that, it's Alan Kulwicki, Dave Marcus, Terry Labonte, and Phil Elliott. And we have 14 cars that are on the lead lap. 77 laps complete. This will be the completion of lap 78. And they will not go green. The pace car turns back on the yellow light. And so we will go at least 1 more lap. We have an exciting Sunday of auto racing for you next week, and also a Saturday. We'll have the Gatorade 200 Grand National Race Saturday on ESPN at 1:30. That's from Darlington, South Carolina. Then on Sunday, a big doubleheader, the Southern 500, beginning at 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. And also, following that, the IndyCar race, the Escort Radar Warning 200 from Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. That will be same-day delayed coverage at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time next Sunday night. So 3 big races for you next weekend.
One of the drivers and cars that Rusty Wallace has been chasing is Bobby Allison. Bobby Allison, you look like you're cruising. So far, you may have him covered.
Well, the car's running good, but these other guys are running awful good, too. I missed an opportunity to lead when I went up outside of Bodine earlier, and he was able to go in the corner deep enough to hold me off.
Bobby, did you make any changes during this yellow flag, or just go with the setup you started the race with?
Same setup we started with.
Hang in there, Bobby. You're running right up the front. So far, it looks like a pretty good night.
Oh, we hope so. Thank you.
One lap to go.
This, we've got another story developing on Bill Elliott's car. First of all, he's got a steering problem, and they think it's in the synchro. But a bigger problem is right here. This is the left rear tire that just came off on the pit stop. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what you call a blistered tire. We're getting ready to go green. Let's go topside for play-by-play.
All right, the pace car does have its yellow light off again. Field being led very slowly down the backstretch now. Now the pace car begins to pick up the momentum as the field moves through corner number 3. We should go back to racing on lap number 80. The sold-out capacity crowd here rises to its feet as they watch Jeff Bodine come down and lead them for a restart. Morgan Shepherd would just love to have a lap back. He tried to go to the inside. There he is running 4th in the line. He's to the inside of Dale Earnhardt right now.
Bob, he got one back, and if Shepherd can get up front again, he'll be on the lead lap suddenly. There is, from the in-car camera, the leader of this race, Jeff Bodine, as Rick Wilson sees it. He, too, would like to get a lead back, but so far, or lap back, so far, he hasn't shown the speed to do it.
We'll watch Darrell Waltrip possibly move to the outside in turn number 3 and pass Rick Wilson. There is Waltrip side by side, now passing as they come down the straightaway. Dale Earnhardt will do likewise.
There we see Rusty Wallace on the outside of Joe Rudman's automobile behind Richard Petty's. He was 4th just a moment ago. Something is wrong with that automobile. He has fallen back steadily since the restart.
Benny, he got a real bad restart as he went into number 1. He seemed to get out of the lane. A lot of people went by underneath him. We saw Morgan Shepherd use the outside to his advantage earlier in the race, but Rusty just didn't get on the button quick enough to get the handle going into turn number 1.
And ahead of Rusty Wallace, a tremendous battle for position. Tim Richmond and Richard Petty going at it. This is Petty's 50th career start here at Bristol, and he's not doing a bad job in the early stages of this race. Richard Petty from Randall, North Carolina.
And that's Tim Richmond in the red 25. Ladies and gentlemen, we talked about it at the beginning of the show. If he's going to win the Winston Cup Championship, he's not going to do it unless he can run better than this on a short track.
Watching Tim Richmond, Rusty Wallace, Harry Gant, and Ricky Rudd in single file formation into turn number 3. Now Rudd sticks his nose to the inside of Harry Gant, almost makes contact, spins him, but everybody hangs on. But a bold move there by Ricky Rudd to the inside of Gant.
Remember back to the first 25, 30 laps of this race, there's Petty on the inside of Bobby Hillin, and Richmond is banged into the rear of Bobby Hillin. That's Rusty Wallace on the inside, and Richmond and Wallace, and Gant is sideways. Gant being touched by Rudd. Rudd gets out of the accelerator, and they save it. Every one of them. Hold on to that one.
Welcome to Bristol International Raceway, ladies and gentlemen.
I was about to say that the first 25 laps of this race, you had the feeling that everybody was kind of minding their P's and Q's, setting back. You mentioned it, Bob, being cautious, being patient. They're racing now.
I tell you what, folks, I have never seen a job like Harry Gant did. The Bandits saved that automobile, and it was gone.
Here's the replay.
It starts with Richmond touching Bobby Hillin going into turn number 3. Now keep your eye on Ricky Rudd. Benny, I like the job that Rudd did. He got out of the throttle. He let Harry have enough room to maneuver to save it.
Look at this. Now, Tim Richmond touches the 8 car. He tries to get away. Harry Gant tries to get away from him. But Rudd, he had Harry Gant. All he had to do was hit the accelerator. He can go goes around. He hits the brake, he slows down, lets Harry get the car under control. And I'll tell you what, Harry Gant, you did a super job right there.
Well, we aren't even a fifth of the way through this race, and unbelievable action already. And Gant is right back on the button, battling now with Terry Labonte. And they're side-by-side and trading paint.
This race looks like it's been going on all night. Just a moment ago, we were looking. Here is Darrell Waltrip. He is coming up. He's right behind Jeff Bodine. Darrell Waltrip, who many years ago owned this racetrack, won 7 in a row here, right behind Jeff Bodine.
Darrell Waltrip has 4 wins of this particular race and 9 total victories at Bristol International Raceway. Right now running within a car length of the leader, Jeff Bodine.
Among all the active drivers, as you can figure out, Darrell Waltrip has won more than anybody else. Earnhardt, by the way, is second with 4 wins. Bobby Allison is tied with him, and Richard Petty is fourth with 3 career wins. That is among all of the active drivers. Waltrip obviously is the leading money winner of all time here at Bristol.
Running in 3rd position as the leaders lap slower traffic. They were now passing the number 70 car of J.D. McDuffie. Tim Richmond started 2nd, led for a while. He's back to 7th. Jack, what's the problem?
Well, you saw he led so well when he burned up his tire. This is a blistered left rear that was exchanged on that last pit stop for Tim Richmond. Another part of the tire story, I checked on Dale Earnhardt's tires. Now he's blistering or actually getting bubbles up here on the shoulder of his left rear tire. So it looks like once again in Bristol, it could be tires that determine the outcome of this race.
Benny, let's re-emphasize, we are not even a fifth of the way through. Well, we're 4 laps away from being a fifth of the way through. Up to 100 laps, 4 laps, 500 to go. As you see, Neil Bonnet moving underneath Tim Richmond as the slide to the back continues. It is not so critical that you lead here in the first half or even the first 2/3 of this race, just that you stay on the lead lap.
Well, that is so critical to stay on the lead lap. But it's tough to do because right now, there we see the leaders, Jeff Bodine and Darrell Waltrip, and Earnhardt on the outside of Waltrip, coming up turn 4, alongside Darrell going in turn 1, has the spot.
Boy, he just breezed around Waltrip there coming down the straightaway. Now Dale Earnhardt has put himself in 2nd position behind Waltrip, behind Bodine, and ahead of Waltrip.
Well, we see these cars entering turn 1. Tim Richmond is entering turn 4. They are 1/2 lap ahead of Tim Richmond already since we went back green flag racing.
And this will complete lap number 100 out of 500. Bodine crosses the line, followed closely by Earnhardt, who was followed closely by Waltrip, and now Earnhardt making a bid for the lead as he goes on the high side of the racetrack in turn number 2. Can't get the job done. He'll go up there also in turns 3 and 4. Let's see how they come out of turn number 4. It's Dale Earnhardt passing Jeff Bodine, and Earnhardt now is the leader on lap 101. Waltrip moving to the outside of Jeff Bodine, looking for that 2nd spot, and he has it.
Chances are, had this been 300 or 400 laps in this race, Earnhardt may not have been able to make the pass quite as easy as he did on Bodine, but this is a tough racetrack. Benny and Bob and Jack have told you a number of times tonight, so Jeff Bodine, who had seen the handle slip away just a touch, giving Earnhardt and Waltrip both an advantage, decided, well, I'll move over, I'll hold my line, but I won't make it tough.
You know, I get the distinct impression, looking at the pass that these 2 cars made on Jeff Bodine, that he's saving his automobile, that he does not want blistered tires. He's going to sit there and ride until that last 100 laps and try his best to win the race. A thinking man's race.
Yeah, I agree, Benny. I thought exactly that's what he might have been doing.
Dale Earnhardt leads the Busch 500 from Bristol International Raceway. There's Junior Johnson watching the activity. We'll be right back. Darrell Waltrip has gone a lap down. He had to come in for a pit stop because of a blister tire and has fallen back to 15th position. And just that quickly, things can change from running 1st or 2nd or 3rd to 15th and down a lap. Here's Jack Arute.
Well, here's the problem on the tire, as you can see. This came off the right rear. A section of it came right out. And let me give you the tire temperature, too, Benny, and you can explain it. It was over 290 degrees all the way across the tire.
Oh, we have a crash in turn number 3. That's our in-car camera driven by Rick Wilson. There was also another car involved, but it did not make contact. And here is Rick Wilson getting back up up to speed, but there's a lot of damage on the right side of that race car. You can see the bodywork being rubbed against the right side tire and a lot of sparks coming from the underneath side and a lot of debris flying off of that race car.
Right now, Rick Wilson is having to go a little bit harder than he wants to with a damaged automobile, and Earnhardt, the leader, was right behind him.
So Rick Wilson now will attempt to come into the pit. You can see the tire completely gone on the right side of the car. Here's a replay.
There, Rick Wilson comes off the second corner. Tim Richmond goes by on the outside, and there was somebody on the outside of Rick Wilson when he tried to go back up. He hit Rick Wilson in the right rear, spun him there. The engine is dead. See the red light on? That means that the engine has went dead on the automobile. Now he has it running again.
The leader, Dale Earnhardt, is in the pit. So are Jeff Bodine and Bill Elliott and Terry Labonte and Bobby Allison and Tim Richmond and Rusty Wallace and numerous others. Earnhardt goes back out there. Darrell Waltrip also making another stop. But remember, he got a lap down just before this accident involving Rick Wilson.
You know, there's another factor down in the pits that we did not mention when Jeff Bodine found himself sitting sideways during the last set of pit stops. It rained here this afternoon, Benny. There's still a lot of water down in the pits, and I think a lot of the guys are having a problem down in the pits with that extra water.
They are having a problem there. We're looking at the in-car camera. The crew looking at the Kodak Oldsmobile.
And we have a replay now of this accident at normal speed.
What happened? We saw Rick Wilson giving the motion to somebody. I guess he was telling Tim Richmond to go by on the outside or the inside. Tim Richmond goes by on the outside, and Rick Wilson tries to go back up and to the outside. Someone was there, touched Rick Wilson's car, and we can see just how hard these automobiles hit the wall.
Looked like a light blue car.
Yeah,
Might have
Terry
been
Labonte, yeah. So the hood goes up on that Kodak machine, and Rick Wilson stays in the cockpit. We are yellow with 114 laps completed. The leader of the race is Dale Earnhardt. We'll take a break and be back with more from Bristol, Tennessee.
We're back, and we're still under caution here at Bristol International Raceway, and with me is the crew chief for Jeff Bodine, who's running in third position. This is Gary Nelson. Gary, of all the front runners, you're the only team so far that hasn't had tire problems.
Well, we're fortunate. I think the car's working good enough where Jeff doesn't have to punish the tires. But then again, you might say we may have had just an exceptional set of tires. We've got 4 new ones now. If it continues to be the case where the other guys have problems and we don't, I think we're going to be in real good shape for the end.
Well, what's Jeffrey telling you about the car? Is it up to snuff? Is he pleased with it?
He's happy with the car. We had a little problem with the water on pit road on the first pit stop, so we planned on changing 4. Then since we had that problem getting into pit, we decided to just change 2 tires. And then when we saw all the blisters, we were a little worried. But the car stayed out there, led a lot more laps. He kind of fell into third and just hoped for a caution because we thought we may have a tire problem. When we didn't, we're really happy.
Well, let's update you as well as one of the former leaders who's now mired back several laps down. That's Tim Richmond, who is Jeff Bodine's teammate. Richmond has had more than his share of problems. He's been in and out of the pit with cosmetic damage to the front end. They've used duct tape, and the crew has been working very hard to get that car back up to snuff, but it's bent and battered. It has the Bristol bruises.
Jack, another individual in that same situation is Terry Labonte, who's been in and out of the pits on numerous times. They're working on the right side of that car underneath. So obviously, Labonte suffered some kind of damage in that incident with Rick Wilson. The top 5 at this point, it's Dale Earnhardt, the leader. Rusty Wallace runs in second. Jeff Bodine is third. Richard Petty fourth, and Ricky Rudd is fifth. 118 out of 500 laps completed. Now, Darrell Waltrip is at the head of the line. But remember, he is a lap down. He could make up a lap here when the green flag flies out of this break for a caution. So we will be back with more from Bristol International Raceway and the Busch 500 in just a moment.
What's that guy doing?
Back at Bristol International Raceway. The yellow is still out. However, the pace car's light is out and will be going back green next time around.
Bob, one other factor. You know, we're 120 laps into a 500-lap race. 251 laps would be official should we have to stop this race. And I got to tell you, the weather has really deteriorated around us. We are encircled by very dark clouds, and I don't think it's night. Those are clouds.
Yeah, I think the word is that within 10 minutes it may be rainy. We'll watch for that. Here comes the restart of the race with 121 laps completed. Earnhardt steps on the gas and gets away. Wallace has a terrible restart again. They begin to bunch up behind him, and there was lots of contact made, but I don't think anybody suffered a whole lot. Rusty Wallace's car will just not go. They scramble to get around him. Meanwhile, it is Dale Earnhardt. There is Wallace, who's still dropping back, and Wallace really had a problem at the drop of the green.
And so does Bill Elliott. Rusty Wallace is coming in the pits, and Bill Elliott is right in front of him.
Well, they stacked up unbelievably here when the green came out, and a lot of bumping and banging, but nobody seriously injured, I believe. Rusty Wallace has come into the pits. However, he overshot it, and now will have to back up into the Al Ugard assigned pit. There is Dale Earnhardt, who is ahead now of Darrell Waltrip, so Waltrip is again 1 lap down.
Boy, what a shame it is for Rusty Wallace. They had really looked forward to this race. They seem to have this track down. Rusty Wallace was in the position. We got a change for leader as Darrell Waltrip goes to the high side of Earnhardt. Waltrip in the Junior Johnson Budweiser number 11, Dale Earnhardt in the Richard Childress Wrangler number 3.
And Waltrip gets the lap back once again. Now remember, he is a lap down, or not a lap down, but he's the entire length of the track down. Dale Earnhardt continues to lead this race. Now in second position, believe it or not, is Richard Petty. Richard Petty and Jeff Bodine are running together on the racetrack. There they are in turn number 4. Petty in third, and Jeff Bodine, rather, in second, and Jeff Bodine is in third.
Richard Petty has some pretty heavy damage to the left front of his automobile. It looks like when Rusty Wallace was not able to go a moment ago, that Richard Petty hit someone in the back. We see the damage on the left front. We hope that that sheet metal doesn't get down and rub the tire. If it does, it could cause a serious problem.
I don't think there's any question that Richard got the worst, that he was the one immediately behind Rusty, and he was the first one to experience the slow start that Rusty got. By the way, Rusty is back out on the racetrack, but not up to full speed again. Behind Bodine is Morgan Shepherd. Remember, he's a lap down. And Harry Gant is turning in one of his stronger performances of 1986. He right now would be in 5th position out there, although in 6th slot on the racetrack, and the lightning is rumbling and flashing overhead.
And the battle for 6th position is between the number 25 car of Tim Richmond and the number 12 car of Neil Bonnet. With them on the racetrack is Mike Waltrip, but he is a lap down. Down the backstretch, it's Tim Richmond in 6th and Neil Bonnet in 7th. Passing Eddie Bierschwal on the high side of the racetrack. Rain, I believe, is imminent. It is very, very dark in the western and the southern skies, and we are not yet to the halfway point. The halfway point would be 251 laps, and we are at 131 at the moment.
There, Neil Bonnet on the inside of Tim Richmond takes the spot away with ease, exiting turn 4.
Just to put into perspective, Tim Richmond in that 25 car, which right now trails Neil Bonnet, in the last 9 races, 8 times, Richmond has finished not just in the top 10, not just in the top 5, there's Dale Earnhardt, our leader, but Tim Richmond has finished 1st or 2nd 8 of the last 9 times. There we zoom into the battle for 2nd position. That's Richard Petty in the Petty Blue SPP Orange, right behind Jeff Bodine in the Levi Garrett Yellow and White.
The number 75 car of Morgan Shepherd, who is running right behind Richard Petty, is not on the lead lap. He is a lap down in 13th position, but Bodine is in 2nd, Petty 3rd. Then comes Morgan Shepherd, and the green car behind Shepherd in 4th position is Harry Gant. It is good to see that Skull Bandit performing well.
Benny Harry really is coming on.
He is coming on. He has the car going. Look, he's alongside Morgan Shepherd, going in turn 3 on the inside, Morgan on the outside. They're side by side. Harry has a spot coming off turn 4.
Boy, there's a team like so many of the others, but there's a team that became accustomed in 1985 to running up front. As you look at Bobby Allison going underneath Morgan Shepherd, Morgan has really slowed down from his early race pace. There's Joe Ruttman, and he's getting back to the Gant thing. They became accustomed to running up front and leading last year, and that's an indication, boy, they could really use a win.
All right, let's go to Jack Arute for an update from the pit area.
Let's explain to you what's happened to Rusty Wallace. This is a transmission that goes beneath the car. The one that he has inside of his, this area that I'm lighting with the flashlight, is broken off. He can't come up through the gearbox. What they're trying to decide now is to whether to bring him in and exchange it or try and keep him out there just limping around.
Rusty Wallace almost caused a traffic jam in a bad accident when the green came out a few laps ago, but everybody managed to move around him as he just could not get up to speed when the green came out. The battle for third position is between Richard Petty in 43 and Harry Gant in 33.
Harry Gant has the Skull Bandit running extremely well right now. Earlier on, he hits Richard on the inside. They get together. Now they're side by side.
And there is Bobby Allison also right there battling for position. Now Gant going to the inside of Richard Petty in turn number 2 down the backstretch, takes the position, and now Bobby Allison follows right along, and suddenly Richard Petty drops 2 spots.
We saw the sparks come off of Richard Petty's car as he went turn 3. Folks, that was the exhaust pipe hitting the racetrack. Nothing to worry about.
Harry Gant, we mentioned that he's so looking for a win in this year. This is the kind of racetrack that Harry in that green number 33 right there. Now watch him move up on Richard Petty. Richard gets a little loose. Harry moves up, tries to miss him. Benny, I don't think he touched him. I think he did miss him. This is a racetrack similar to Dover, where Harry had his best performance prior to tonight when he led 177 laps. And there goes Gant around Bodine. Boy, is he coming on.
Harry Gant is a man on the move.
Bodine is off the pace. Bodine off the pace. He's going to be coming in the pits in a lap or so.
There goes Bobby Allison to the outside of Jeff. Jeff drops to the bottom. No, I thought he was going to drop to the bottom, but doesn't. But Jeff Bodine is not up to speed.
Jeff Bodine probably has a tire going, but he's trying to stay on the racetrack until the caution flag, and they feel like it's going to rain. They've been monitoring NASCAR. NASCAR's letting the teams know that there is rain coming.
And as you look down in the pit area, Benny, you can see some of the crews scrambling to cover the tires, so they also know that rain is just moments away, or at least that's the way it appears. Jack, what do you know about Bodine?
Well, Benny is absolutely correct. Gary Nelson is trying to keep Jeff Bodine out there. They have a tire that is going flat, but they're very much aware of the fact that rain may be just on the horizon. So Nelson has instructed Bodine to stay out. You can see the lightning surrounding the facility here. It could be just a few more minutes before a torrential downpour hits Bristol.
All right, here's the way they're running now with, as we mentioned, rain, a very distinct possibility. Dale Earnhardt, the leader. Harry Gant, second. Bobby Allison is third. Jeff Bodine is fourth. Richard Petty is fifth. We have a spin in turn number 4.
2 of them.
Bobby Hillin and J.D. McDuffie involved. Bobby Hillin Jr. does a 360 and keeps going. So a lot of smoke in the 4th turn. There's J.D. McDuffie, who was also involved.
And Bob Waltrip was able to stay ahead of Earnhardt. Earnhardt almost caught him in the confusion, but Darrell Waltrip, Benny, I think he was running not a conservative pace, but he was driving with the rearview mirror. He wasn't trying to streak away from Dale. He knew he couldn't go all the way around and catch him up. He was waiting for just this moment, a yellow flag, and Waltrip is back in it that quick.
Back in the lead lap. And look at Jeff Bodine. What a great move it was to stay on the racetrack, take a chance. Now he can come in, make a brief pit stop, go back to the position wherever the pit crew puts him.
Do you suppose they're all coming in for rain tires? This isn't Mid-Ohio, is it? That's next week.
Bodine is in, so is Dale Earnhardt. All the leaders, as a matter of fact. Here's Jack Arute.
Bodine, a great move, as we said, by Jeff Bodine and Gary Nelson. They've decided to stay out. Now they've got the luxury of the caution to be able to exchange those right side tires. Now, to make absolutely certain, because they're not sure what tire was going down, they're going to go for 4 all the way around. Now, this is kind of a gutsy move on a yellow flag on a short track, because you've got to have it done just properly. Nelson calling the shots. They just about completed the work. They dropped the jack, and he's away with 4 brand new Goodyears.
So everybody moving back out onto the racetrack now, including Jeff Bodine. The leader of the race is Alan Kulwicki. He did not come in for a stop, but he does pick up some point as far as the Winston Cup is concerned.
Bob, it's really a great story. This is the second time, believe it or not, that Kowicki has led tonight. He's been able to tenaciously hold on to the lead lap, and he led during another caution flag period, was back on lap 113. Yeah, lap 113. This is the second time tonight this guy has led.
But he does make a pit stop now. His pit is located on the backside of the racetrack. 149 laps have been completed. We'll be back with more of the Busch 500 from Bristol International Raceway in a moment. Dale Earnhardt, Harry Gant, Ricky Rudd, Bobby Allison, and Jeff Bodine, the first 5 with 150 laps out of 500 complete. Here at the Bristol International Raceway, we're still under caution because of a spin down in corner number 4 involving Bobby Hillin Jr. and J.D. McDuffie. Nobody hit anything, so both of those cars are back out there in competition. Pace car is on the backstretch. Rusty Wallace is the car right behind the pace car. Rusty has transmission problems. The leader of the race is Dale Earnhardt. Harry Gant is second. Ricky Rudd third. And there are 12 cars on the lead lap. And here comes Rusty Wallace in for another pit stop. He's been in and out of the pit since this problem with the transmission developed on that car.
Really and truly, I hate to say this, but Rusty Wallace needs to start at the rear of the field on these restarts if he only has high gear, because it would be just suicide for him to start up front. We saw what happened just a moment ago.
That's right. He just cannot move up through the gears quickly when the green comes out, and he really does belong at the back of the field. Now, ESPN and NASCAR present a track fact.
These lights do a terrific job of keeping the racing surface bright here at Bristol, but they also present a problem for pit crews, especially when they come in to change left side tires. Now, the shadows, because the lights are on the outside of the track, begin to get very great when you're changing the left side tires. So what do crews do? Well, they bring their own light system. Shine it down there on the wheel wells and make sure that you've got the lug nuts on right before you send your driver back out. Now, what happens if there's a power outage? No problem if you're part of the Richard Childress pit crew. Bring your own lights.
This track fact has been brought to you by Levi Garrett Chewing Tobacco. Time after time, the quality comes through. Now the lights are out on the pace car and will be going green next time down.
Bob Jenkins, you see that green automobile with number 33 on the back of it? That's Harry Gant. And I tell you one thing, I bet he's the hungriest driver out there, because there's a fellow who does not have a victory this year. Last year, 3 or 4 victories. I don't remember exactly which, but not one victory this year.
And he has been plagued with crashes. Several of them have been of the rather serious nature.
We saw Jackie talking about lights just a moment ago, and I tell you what, when they brought in these extra lights, these Musco lights, it sure lit this place up, because used to, coming off right here, coming off the 4th corner, it was just impossible to see. Now it's almost like daytime.
They're not even using the track lights on the backstretch. They're all the extra lighting here on ESPN. Green flag comes back out. Now we're going to watch everybody move through corners 1 and 2, and then we're going to turn our attention to Harry Gant in that number 33 car as he approaches the leader, Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt is sneaking up. He's only within about 5 or 6 car lengths. Morgan Shepherd is leading Dale Earnhardt, but Shepherd is trying to gain a lap back. Here they come off of corner number 4. Once again, Earnhardt followed closely by Harry Gant in the Skoll Bend at number 33.
Now, the guy to keep your eye on is Earnhardt. How will he play this? You can be rest assured that Morgan Shepherd is driving every lap of this race like it's the last one for him, because he needs to get that lap back as soon as he can, particularly with this threatening weather. There is 3rd, 4th, and 5th, Ricky Rudd, Bobby Allison, and Jeff Bodine. Bobby Allison, who has shown the ability to run almost anywhere tonight, and he touches Ricky Rudd. Jeff Bodine gets out of the throttle. Now he uses his momentum on the banks, the 35-degree banking here at Bristol, to move around the high side. 3rd, 4th, and 5th position, and Joe Ruffin watching.
Are they Bodine and Allison? Allison bump there coming off of the fourth corner. Now Allison once again to the inside of Ricky Rudd at the end of the backstretch, battling for third position. It's Rudd high and Allison low. Allison is going to have the momentum coming off the corner. Allison at least momentarily in third, but Rudd will have nothing of it.
Short track racing at its very, very best. Now Bodine is going to try the same move on Ricky Rudd. Ricky's going to get tired of this in just a minute, guys.
There is Bodine to the inside of Rudd, and Bodine has the position. Bodine moves to fourth, Rudd back to fifth.
Drummond on the inside of that green car has lost the lap in the pit stop scrambles, by the way. He looks like he's running as quick as anybody running up near the front right now. Unfortunately, again, he is one lap down.
And again, paint being traded between the green car of Joe Ruttman and Ricky Rudd's Motorcraft Ford. 162 laps have been completed. Still no rain. It's very, very dark, and we've seen lightning, but we also have experienced scattered showers here in the Bristol area for the last couple of days. It'll rain hard in one place, and 2 or 3 miles down the road, we'll get no rain. So hopefully that's going to be the situation here this evening, and rain can stay away from this racetrack, and we can get the whole 500-lap race in.
There we saw the white and red automobile coming up. That's Darrell Waltrip. He started last just a moment ago. There we're watching the race between Ricky Rudd, Terry Labonte in 44. That's Neil Bonnet in car 12. Terry Labonte on the outside of Ricky Rudd. Neil Bonnet on the inside of Terry Labonte.
Neil Bonnet, who has had a season interrupted by crashes as well as injury, is another driver who, when you started the 1986 season, you figured that he had to be a bona fide candidate for top 10, at least top 5 for every race. But circumstances just haven't allowed it. There's Waltrip getting into the picture on the inside, the Buttmobile on the right behind Ricky Rudd and Neil Bonnet, and Richmond holding his own on the outside. Boy, the color of this corner at this moment is red and white. Look at all the red and white. Here's Waltrip trying to get underneath Richmond. Richmond holding on.
This is the battle for 8th position. Tim Richmond, high on the racetrack, has it. And Darrell Waltrip back to 9th spot. 12 cars run on the lead lap here. That's Ricky Rudd in number 15 right ahead of them. And here are the leaders. Harry Gant in number 33 has been passed by Bobby Allison. So now Allison moves into 2nd position. Gant back to 3rd, and Jeff Bodine is knocking on Gant's door there in 4th. Bodine moving to the inside of Harry Gant. Gant not running as strong as he has been the last few laps.
Boy, Harry Gant is on a roller coaster ride, Benny. He seems to get the momentum. He goes like Billy Heck for about 4 or 5 laps, and now it's slowed down again.
Well, just before the last caution flag, I felt like Harry Gant's car was the fastest on the racetrack. Right now, it looks like he's struggling a little bit as Jeff Bodine gives him some trouble coming off turn 4.
I'll tell you, the guy that appears to be the fastest car is that one on the extreme left of your screen, Bobby Allison. He has come from several car lengths behind and now is approaching the leader, Dale Earnhardt. He's closed in within about 4 or 5 car lengths. Bobby Allison, the red and white 22.
And as you watch Earnhardt, Allison, Gant, Bodine, as they go by 1, 2, 3, 4, Morgan Shepherd has been able to hold his own during this green flag segment. He's just to the left there of Earnhardt. He is on the lead lap now, but the distance of the racetrack behind. There goes Morgan by, but Earnhardt continues to lead this race. Morgan desperately wants that yellow bunting to come out. Anything to bring in the racetrack. Something.
Bobby Allison now within about 3 car lengths of Dale Earnhardt as they go into corner number 3. Now closes within 2. Make it 1.5 car lengths.
This is the break that Morgan Shepherd needs. He needs these fellas to start racing to that lead spot. That's going to let him get a little bit of breathing room between the leaders.
Now Allison goes to the high side of Dale Earnhardt in the 3rd turn. Let's see if he can take over the lead. They come off the 4th corner, and by inches, Bobby Allison takes 1st position.
Looks like it was very, very easy. Surprisingly easy.
Bobby Allison does have some Bristol wins, but Bobby Allison has not won here. Ready for this? Since 1972. A year in which Bobby Allison swept the 2 events, the 2 Winston Cup stock car events here at Bristol. He won them both, but it's been that long. 86, So we're talking more than 15 years ago that Allison won here, or about 15
Well,
years.
you mentioned the roller coaster, Larry, and Harry Gant is back on top of the roller coaster because he has moved into third again and is within just a couple of car lengths of Dale Earnhardt in second.
What Harry Gant done when the leaders passed him, he changed his line around the racetrack. He's a lot higher on the racetrack than the other cars.
And Jack Arute also has been watching the Harry Gant progress.
And Benny, you're absolutely right. The reason he adjusted his line was because, according to Travis Carter, the crew chief, they're afraid they're going to blister the tires. So they told Harry to kind of back out of the throttle just a little bit and try and find a new line and save the tires. Update on the weather conditions down here in the pits as well. We're beginning to feel some slight sprinkles once again, so maybe the weather is closing in on us after all.
The leader is Bobby Allison. We have had 7 different leaders and 10 lead changes.
Something just happened to Morgan Shepherd, Bob. Allison was moving up on him. He looked like he was running faster, but Morgan suddenly slowed. Not only did Allison go by, but Earnhardt, Gant. Now you see Bodine is going by, Joe Rutland. Morgan Shepherd had a shot at getting that lap back, but I think it's slipping away.
And the battle for 7th position here as Richmond and Waltrip continue to go at it. Now watch Harry Gant on the outside of Dale Earnhardt as Gant tries to take over 2nd position. Down the backstretch, wheel to wheel, into the 3rd turn. Gant has the position.
Must like the outside of the racetrack because he certainly is running faster in this new line than he was just a moment ago on the bottom of the racetrack.
So Harry Gant is 2nd, Bobby Allison the leader, and Dale Earnhardt is back to 3rd position. 181 laps have been completed. Will time Harry Gant's lap this time around. How his time compares to some of the others. Here comes Gant off the 4th corner. He crosses the line, stops the clock at 18 seconds flat. And that is going to translate to about 106 miles an hour. And the pole-setting speed here this weekend was 114.665. Well, time Bobby Allison now, the leader of the race, to see who is running quicker. Allison the leader and Gant in 2nd.
It's been a long time since Allison won here at Bristol. Harry Gant, who has won 9 times in his career, has never won here at Bristol. Keeping the clock on Bobby Allison, we are told from the pits that Harry Gant is picking up the pace because he senses the rain coming.
Well, it's that close. Allison is about 1/10 of a second slower than Harry Gant. And the yellow flag is coming out because of rain. Jack Arute, how serious is it?
Well, it's just beginning to pour just a little bit. We're getting wet. It's starting to stick. But what happened is we talked about Harry Gant, and here's where you've got to begin to play some liar's poker. Gant picked up the pace because he could see those little raindrops on his windshield. No need to be concerned about blistering your tires because you're going to have a caution shortly. Now, what do these drivers do? Stay out in the rain and hope for a red flag, or do they come into the pits early and try and make their way back up to the front before it goes to the red? Benny Parsons, you know, that's a gamble that drivers and crew chiefs have to talk about very shortly because it's beginning to really come down.
I don't think anyone's going to pit right now, Jack. Well, Jeff Bodine is going down pit road. But Bobby Allison, Harry Gant, Dale Earnhardt, Neil Bonnet, the Joe Rubin automobile, Terry Labonte's Oldsmobile, they all stay on the racetrack as we watch Jeff Bodine go to work on his car.
I think we ought to start talking about rain date should this race be delayed or stopped tonight. We're talking about the next clear day, and the rain is coming down quite healthily.
It is, and the wind is picking up also. The people gathered here in the main grandstand are getting out their umbrellas and their plastic to protect themselves from the elements.
Benny, just as we were talking about it, Jeff Bodine may have made what could be a very wise choice now. Remember, if he's gone into the pits, taken on his tires, sits under the tarpaulin, he won't have to come back in when they restart this race. So by order of attrition, he'll work his way back to the front of the field while the rest of the guys that have elected to stay back out, you know, when you get ready to restart one after it's been raining, they like to come in, top off the tanks, take on new tires. So who knows, a bold gamble by the Levi Garrett crew.
It could be a bold gamble, but I think that Bobby Allison, Harry Gant, Earnhardt probably made the wisest decision, because if this race is stopped for the rain, then these drivers will go around, talk to the crew chiefs, and they will decide what kind of change to make on that automobile before it starts. The Bodine crew cannot make a change because they will not be able to stop.
All right, the rain continues to fall. No red yet, just a yellow, but it is raining at Bristol International Raceway. We'll be back with more right after this. A rainy Bristol International Raceway. It's not raining very hard at the moment. In fact, it may not be raining at all. We have had a little bit of a shower pass over the area. Now, the radar indicated that there were a couple of cells that could split and provide us with a brief shower, but perhaps nothing that would cause a postponement of this rain. Well, what about it, guys? Jack, what's the story from the pit area?
Well, I'm down here with Gary Nelson, and what I suspected is indeed true. Nelson has rolled the dice one more time. Gary, you've decided to come in early, figuring this thing won't go to red. It'll just stay under caution, and you'll work your way by attrition back to the front.
Well, you know, the race isn't official until you get to the halfway point. So when you have a caution for rain, everybody's going to stop to fill up their cars and to get new tires. I think it's best to stop early, get the tires changed, get the gas in it, and then the other guys, they wait till the track dries, they stop, and we go up to the front.
Well, now, Benny Parsons alluded to the fact that some teams, though, like to stop later, especially if they think the red flag's going to come out, because then you can have an extended brain session with your driver without being inside the car. But you kind of like elected not to do that. Now, you don't think they're going to go to red?
No, you know, in a position like I'm in, you just kind of do what you think's best at the time, and hope at least half the time you come out right. You never know.
Well, it looks like they're starting to make Gary Nelson clairvoyant because some of the leaders are beginning to pit, gentlemen.
You're right. Dale Earnhardt is in, Richard Petty, Tim Richmond, Terry Labonte, and Darrell Waltrip. All of these drivers have come in for a pit stop. And, Jack, is it still raining down there? I can't see it reflecting through the light.
No, in fact, it's started to dry, and there's a good brisk wind, so things will dry out quickly. It looks like that was just a little dusty. You know, it was a little humid down here, and that shower was somewhat refreshing for all of us.
All right, well, by and large, we've had nice weather here this weekend in the Bristol, Tennessee area, and our cameramen went out among the countryside to capture some of the color and flavor of race weekend here at Bristol. Young and old. There's a Folgers car supporter, and the Folgers car, driven by Tim Richmond, apparently has an overheating problem. He was getting some water there in the front end of the car in the radiator, but Tim Richmond moves back out onto the racetrack.
I talked about Tim Richmond earlier, and I said he was going to have to run a little better on the short tracks, but it's very possible that he has an engine problem, and he's trying to take care of the car, which is very smart in his situation because he is involved very heavily in a points battle with Darrell Waltrip and Dale Earnhardt.
You know, Benny, something else that has happened is, again, another result as Tim comes back one more time, apparently checking the gauges on the dashboard. The pits never dried. You see all the water sitting down there. Of course, you just mentioned that Richmond's crew was trying to cool that car down. But the problem is the pits never dried after the afternoon rain shower. We've had this one. There's a spring that's erupting down there. This could well be a factor in this race. Jack is down in the pits with more. Jack?
Well, Larry, actually, with the exception of Tim Richmond's area, the pits are fairly dry. You know what's starting to show down here, though, quite a bit, is when they've come in for pit stops, a lot of fuel has been spilled. And so what they've begun to do is drop the speedy dry down, and that's created even more of an unsafe condition because you come slipping and sliding through the speedy dry. But for the 25 car, Harry Hyde and Tim Richmond, it's going to be a long, arduous process because they've got the heat built up in that. And it could be, from the looks of things, gentlemen, like maybe they put the radiator into the fan a little bit, and that's causing a reduction in the heating because he's all bent and battered in the front end. And after he had those problems, that's when the overheating developed.
We probably saw that earlier on, Jack. He went in turn 3 and ran the back of Bobby Hillin, and that's probably where he got the damage in the front of the automobile.
Now, a history here at Bristol International Raceway. The first race in 1961 was won by Johnny Allen in a Pontiac. We've had 51 races here at this facility, and the total entries have totaled over 1,600, and the total payout almost $3.5 million. Still yellow because of a rain shower at Bristol. Back in a moment. At Bristol Raceway, the situation is delay for rain. However, it is not raining at the moment. 5 laps and we'll go back to green. Bobby Allison is the leader at this point with 197 laps completed. Harry Gant is second. Neil Bonnet third. Jeff Bodine fourth. And Dave Marcus is running fifth. We're going to try to get as many commercial breaks out of the way here while we are under yellow so we can bring you as much racing as possible. We'll take this break and be right back. Exactly 200 laps have been completed. We'll go back green in 3 more laps. At the moment, Bobby Allison is the leader of the race. Harry Gant is second. Neil Bonnet third. Fourth is Jeff Bodine, and fifth is Dave Marcus. Pace car leading them down once again. Track is, by and large, dry. And we go down to Jack Arute, who is with Harry Hyde.
And Harry Hyde is literally all wet. You've been putting water down there in the radiator, but what happened, Harry?
Our ductwork is all bent up in the front. Got the radiator partially closed off, but we can't take it out, and we don't have time, so we're trying to keep it cool and maybe get a finish. The car's running about 240, and it's too hot to finish right now. So we're trying to keep it cool enough so we can stay back down and finish the race.
Kind of like sitting on a time bomb. Gentlemen?
All right, that's the story on Tim Richmond. We started this race from second position and led the first few laps. We'll talk to Bobby Allison now on radio.
Bobby Allison, this is Larry Newber up at ESPN. You know, with 50 laps to go to the halfway point, are all of you down there considering this like it were the last 50 laps of the race?
Well, Larry, what they tell me is the rain is over with, so we're going to go 500 laps. But the car is running good, so we chose to stay out.
At this point, can you tell who will be your biggest competitor?
Well, Bodine and Earnhardt are both running good, and Waltrip made up his lap, so there's plenty of good ones.
Green next time, Bobby. We'll be watching.
And the word from the NASCAR officials also is that the rain is over. The storm has passed by our area. There's nothing else on radar. We have run 19 laps under this caution, but we are about to go green once again. Pace car is picking up speed and coming into the pits, and with 202 laps, about to complete 203, the green flag is coming back out, but it's a very slow restart for Bobby Allison. He hung back until the very last moment, now steps on the accelerator, and the field is back under green and racing conditions. Track be a little slick, and might the drivers be a little hesitant right now, Benny?
I would think that the racetrack could be just a little bit slippery, and I would think that the drivers would be taking it just a little bit easier.
Bobby Allison has taken off, and Harry Gant and Joe Ruttman are running side by side. Now Ruttman drops to the bottom of the racetrack and is passed by Neil Bonnet and Jeff Bodine in the fourth turn.
It looks like that Jeff Bodine made just an excellent pit stop a moment ago, that the gamble that Gary Nelson and Jeff Bodine decided on was a very good one.
Bob. The good run for Neil Bonnet continues in that red number 12. He has hung in there on the lead lap. There you see him going to the inside of Harry Gant. Neil Bonnet, one of 4 of the top runners of 1986 and 85 who were winners last year but have not won this year. Harry Gant being one of the other 2, Cale Yarborough and Greg Sachs. All winners last year, not yet this year.
And Neil Bonnet has moved into second position. Harry Gant, third. Bodine, fourth. Now Bodine moving to the inside of Harry Gant, and Gant got a little bit wide there in the third turn, and Jeff Bodine moves into third.
For you Bill Elliott fans, if you missed him for the last little bit, he did make a pit stop for about 75 laps and change the rear end in the automobile, but he is back on the racetrack right now.
Shades of the championship chase year of 1985, and it's not the same this year.
Earnhardt now battling side by side with Harry Gant. And there goes Darrell Waltrip. Gant obviously is having some kind of problem. He has fallen back now 5 positions in the last couple of laps.
Well, Harry Gant is one of the cars that decided to stay on the racetrack and not make the pit stop. The cars in front of him, with the exception of Bobby Allison and Neil Bonnet, did stop. There goes Darrell Waltrip alongside Dale Earnhardt down the back straightaway. Darrell trying to take the spot in turn 3. They're side by side.
Fourth position up for grabs here. And Darrell Waltrip at the moment into 4th position. Earnhardt back to 5th. And these are the guys that we talked about earlier in the show as being the short track specialists and being the ones who gain a lot of points for the Winston Cup when we get to the short track.
Benny, you've gone through one of these championship years. You know how much extra concentration it takes to prepare the machine to go the distance. And what do you say to yourself as a driver? You have to consciously think, I got to stay out of trouble. I got to pace myself each 100-lap segment.
At a racetrack like this, you really have to think about that, Larry, because the competition is so close and the cars run so close together. The bumps will move the cars into each other that you have to think about it. Otherwise, you're going to have a problem like Tim Richmond has right now.
And Harry Gant may also have a problem. Jack, can you pull us in?
Well, you talk about changing conditions, the problem for Harry Gant. Now the car has developed a push. It's almost as if they've overcompensated for the problem they had before, and they've changed the tires, but the push is even worse.
And Harry Gant has fallen back now to 5th position. And Bobby Allison continues to lead, but it's just a slight advantage over Neil Bonnet and Jeff Bodine. Lapping Buddy Arrington on the backstretch, now moving high on the racetrack to put another lap on Mikhail Ricci, car number 6.
Neil Bonnet in the Budweiser Junior Johnson number 12 car. Benny, I'll say this is his best single performance of 1986 so far. He has led some races, but I don't know, other than the Dover race that he led, I think, 60 or 70 laps that earlier this year, he has really shown this kind of strength this far into the contest. He has a 4th place at Darlington and a 5th place at Watkins Glen, as a matter of fact, just a couple of weeks ago. But he must be feeling exceptionally strong, good racing in that race car, coming back from injury.
If I remember correctly, Neil Bonnet in the race here in the spring ran extremely well until something broke and he hit the first turn wall. But right now, he's running a very good line around the racetrack, on the bottom of the racetrack, and looks to be handling as well as anyone out there.
Neil Bonnet was 3rd place finisher in last year's Busch 500 and was the 2nd fastest qualifier for the Valleydale 500 held here in the spring. So Neil does like this racetrack. But Bobby Allison now puts about 7 or 8 car lengths between himself and Neil Bonnet, and there is Morgan Shepherd asserting himself once again, trying to get some laps back.
Darrell Waltrip is the driver on the move right now. Look, on the outside of Jeff Bodine, going in turn 3, there's side. Whoops, no. Bodine comes back on the inside, but Darrell Waltrip running extremely well. There he is on the outside of Bodine as he exits turn 2. Down the back straightaway, he has the position.
It's like a bowling match up front, guys. You know, bowlers, they bowl 2 frames at a time, and Stefanich will get up and bowl 2 strikes, put the pressure on Johnny Petraglia. I know I'm dating myself. He'll come up, bowl a couple strikes, turn the tables on. That's what's happening up front in the top 5. It seems like everybody is taking an opportunity up to the foul line, throwing the ball, knocking down a strike, and then sitting down watching the next guy go up.
Junior Johnson cars are running second and third. Bonnet is second. Waltrip third at the moment. Waltrip very high on the racetrack. He's using that high line. Not at the moment able to take second, and now he does at the end of the backstretch going into turn number 3. Darrell Waltrip in the Budweiser number 11 Chevrolet takes second spot.
Right now, Darrell Waltrip is going high on the racetrack to try to save those tires. He feels like if he tries to hold the car on the bottom of the racetrack, that the tires are going to blister.
Now we're watching Dale Earnhardt battle Neil Bonnet for third spot, and Jeff Bodine is right there also. There is Earnhardt going into third, and Jeff Bodine taking fourth. Bonnet back to fifth in just a few laps.
The Winston Cup Championship with 225 laps now. Can it be happening again? Is Darrell Waltrip making yet another late season patent charge to the lead? There is Harry Gant dueling with Neil Bonnet. They run in the top 5. Waltrip, Bonnet's teammate, as we look at Bodine in the 5 car, moving in on Dale Earnhardt, has only won one time this year. That's when he sat on the pole and won the race at Riverside on a road course. He's not won on an oval this year. He's coming on strong here in the last half of the season again at Bristol, one of his special places.
We see Neil Bonnet on the screen. I would think that he has a problem, and Jack LaRoute is with his crew right now. Jack?
Well, for Neil Bonnet, Benny, what's happening, I think, is some strategy for late in the race. This is the second set of tires that came off the number 12 car. They have 50 laps on them. They took the temperatures, set them back here. But this is a set, the third set that came off the car, they only have 35 laps. But I think these may be those tires they're saving for the end. Because right here is a little word, and it says good. They're way in the back of the pit. They're holding them back for the end of the race, I think.
Tire wear is so important here at Bristol, and Morgan Shepherd in car number 75 has gotten his lap back. He has passed Bobby Allison and now moves to the lead lap. And I believe that Morgan Shepherd perhaps has the fastest car on the racetrack, although Darrell Waltrip is certainly coming on strong also and closing up the gap between himself and leader Bobby Allison.
It looks like right now that Darrell is certainly the fastest car on the racetrack. And he did make a pit stop on that caution flag for the rain. He has 4 fresh tires. Bobby Allison did not stop. Darrell ought to have the advantage if there is one right now.
Benny, Allison was one of 5 cars that last stopped on lap 148. Gant, Bonnet, the numbers are right, make it 4 cars, and the number 71 car of Dave Marcus.
As we indicated, Morgan Shepherd got his lap back, and this is how he did it.
Just drove up on the outside of Bobby Allison down turns 1 and 2. Came off the corner. Bobby knew he was out there. Gave him a little bit of room. Morgan goes in hard in turn 3. Very hard. You see the sparks from the exhaust pipe. That means he went in the corner extremely hard. Came off the corner. Bobby Allison had no choice but let him go.
Does that mean, I believe, Bob and Benny, that Morgan is now on the lead lap, the distance of the racetrack behind, but once again on the lead lap, if he get a caution, he's caught up?
That is correct. There are 13 cars on the lead lap, and Morgan Shepherd is the 13th. We've completed 234 laps. It's 500 lapper at Bristol International Raceway. Bobby Allison, the leader. Darrell Waltrip running second, but the interval is just a matter of car length. And also battling on the racetrack is Tim Richmond and Ricky Rudd, as Richmond continues to try to move back up toward the front. He has been experiencing some problems with that car, but Rudd is closing in on him.
Now we see Joe Rubbin going by the outside of Neil Bonnet. Neil still having his problems, drifting on back.
Able to hold on to that lead lap. As we watch Richmond and Rudd, you know, Benny, I was talking to a few of the people early as we go back up front. Allison, the leader, with Morgan Shepherd right in front of him. And Allison now going around Shepherd. Back to my story in just a second. Shepherd slowed mysteriously like this about 30 laps ago, Benny. What's like going on?
It seems like that every time that he does run well for about, you're right, 30, 35 laps, then evidently he tears a tire up or something. He has to back off the pace.
So Shepherd goes a lap down once again. That means 12 cars on the lead lap. Darrell Waltrip making a race out of it, though, for the lead. Closing in on Bobby Allison, looking high in the second turn.
As we watch these two artists try to put together another masterpiece for the lead. Early earlier today, I've talked to several people. There goes Waltrip, almost routinely to the high side of Allison, Benny. I said, I can't believe that more high-bank half-mile racetracks have not taken hold in this country. I firmly believe, and I wasn't just making that up for the dramatics of our Open, that this is the best race you can find anywhere in the world. A high-bank, half-mile paved racetrack. There were those tracks in Indiana. Winchester, of course, is still existing. Salem is maybe temporarily closed. Dayton didn't make it, and Fort Wayne didn't make it. I can't believe that more have taken hold.
I tell you what, you couldn't beat the race we're seeing tonight, because this is racing at its very, very best.
Waltrip has been working the high side for the last few laps. Now is choosing to look to the low side, or at least he did there for a while. Now he's back on top. Now, if Darrell Waltrip can take the lead, he will become our 8th different leader. He has not yet led this race. He pulls even, though, with Bobby Allison in the 4th turn, and coming down to complete lap 243, Darrell Waltrip does take the lead, becomes our 8th different leader.
In all of last year, we're just halfway through the race. In last year's Busch 500, there were 18 official lead changes among 8 drivers. So we have matched that total, and we're just halfway through.
We have had 11 different lead changes in this race. There is Dale Earnhardt, who is running in 3rd, and now closing in on Bobby Allison in 2nd. Ricken car number 6, the individual who started in 30th position in this race, the slowest qualifier at 106.529 miles an hour. There are 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
We look at the race right now. We see Darrell Waltrip a moment ago. He seemed to pass Bobby Allison, not with ease, but fairly easy as far as the pass is concerned. And you wonder, why don't he just drive away from him? Well, Darrell Waltrip is where he wants to be. He's leading the race right now, but he wants to save the tires, so he's not going to try to drive away. He's going to just run his race very comfortably and try to save the tires. If Bobby Allison can keep up, so be it.
Richard Petty continues to run in the top 10 and on the lead lap. He is being shown in 9th position at the moment. Ricky Rudd in 10th, right behind him in number 15.
Bob mentioned a few moments ago that D.K. Ulrich had been the slowest qualifier in tonight's field. Watching Richard Petty, D.K. having qualified in 30th. There were 4 cars that didn't make it. Connie Saylor, Jonathan Edwards, Ronnie Thomas in the James Hilton car, and Tommy Crozier. Those are the 4 of the non-qualifiers here this weekend at Bristol.
We are nearing the halfway point this time around. The next time they cross the stripe, it'll be lap 250, and we'll be halfway through the Busch 500. And
the 15 car, Ricky Rudd is slowing down dramatically. He's going in turn 3 very slowly. Looks like he has a tire problem, some type of problem.
Looks like he may have hit the wall. Doesn't that front end look shortened up a bit?
Well, I thought I saw puff of smoke out there in turn number 2, but I wouldn't really want to...
We see the right front on the automobile. Something is wrong with the right front because it's towed in dramatically.
Here's Jack.
Well, we're down here in Ricky Rudd's pit, and that's an understatement, Benny. Looks like an upper ball joint may have just come, because there it is. Bud Moore has said, that's it. Turn it off. There's no way you can run here with that kind of a problem. So as soon as Ricky gets out of the car, we'll get a few comments from him. Now, Dale Earnhardt is preparing to come into the pit. Earnhardt's crew, led by Richard Schultz.
Here he comes, Jack. Here he comes.
Here on pit road. They've got the board up. He's coming in. They're going to work on the right side, the left side tires. They're changing both left side tires. Let's see if we can take a look at the condition. He's going a lap down, and it looks like the left front was flat or going down. Yes, it was, Benny. The left front went down on it.
Dale Earnhardt has now gone a lap down in this race.
Tough break for Earnhardt because he was gaining on Darrell Waltrip. Looked like he might have aspirations taking the lead. Right now, a lap down.
That changes the complexion a little bit. It's Darrell Waltrip and Bobby Allison 1st and 2nd. Now running in 3rd position, Jeff Bodine, followed by Harry Gant. Back with more in a moment from Bristol International Raceway. Our Napa mid-race recap. 250 lap mark. The average speed was 78.254 miles an hour. We had 4 caution periods, including one for rain. A total of 47 laps under the caution. We had 8 leaders and 11 lead changes. Bobby Allison had the lead on lap 250. And we had 23 cars still in the event. Out of race, Kyle Petty was the first out, then Dale Jarrett, Kenny Schrader because of an accident, Rick Wilson also involved in a shunt, Jimmy Means, Bill Elliott, J.D. McDuffie. All of those drivers calling it quits, although Bill Elliott has gotten back into the race. Let's go down to Jack Arute.
Well, for the first half of the race, the pit activity has been just typically Bristol. Tires have been a story. Drivers have come in with battered and bent sheet metal. Let's update you on Neil Bonnet's condition. He has a tire that's bad. They're trying to tough it out until the next mandatory or regularly scheduled pit stop. Behind me, the work continues on Ricky Rudd's car. He's going to be in for an extended period of time because they have torn the front end out of that car on the right side. But because of the Winston Cup point standings, they're going to try and get Ricky Rudd back into the hunt. Let's go back to the tower.
All right, and so that's the recap on the first half of the race from the pit area. 264 laps now complete, and we will be right back. With Benny Parsons, Larry Newber, Jack Arute, this is Bob Jenkins at Bristol International Raceway for the Busch 500 and 272 laps completed. Darrell Waltrip is the leader of the race. The real battle at this point involves 3 drivers. Tim Richmond in number 25, Terry Labonte in number 44, and Richard Petty in number 43. This is for 5th, 6th, and 7th position. There's another car sandwiched in there. That's Bobby Hillett Jr. in car number 8, but he is not on the same lap. He's a lap down in 13th position.
Richard Petty is really wearing the skull, and they're very close there between Hillett and Labonte. Richard Petty is really wearing the battle scars of short track racing. And blue and STP red or orange car, you can see both the front and the back have pieces sticking out. He really lost on that particular corner as both Labonte and Hillett got around the outside.
And Neil Bonnet has come into the pits. You heard Jack tell us a little bit earlier that they were concerned about a tire.
4 tires. I can't believe this. They're changing 4 tires, aren't they, Jack? I guess Jack Arute wasn't down there, but it looks like they're changing 4 tires on the automobile. What a gamble on their part.
Recently also, Benny and Bob, Morgan Shepherd finally gave up the ghost. Benny, I think you call it. He stayed out there as long as he could, apparently on blister tires. He had run so hard to get up to the front, to get back on the lead lap. He kept going slower and slower and slower, and he finally came in under green, and I think his chances for victory ended right there. Allison is slowing quickly. Bobby Allison darting into the pits.
Bobby Allison chose not to pit on the caution flag we had for the rain about 130 laps ago. He's in right now. The crew going to the left side of the automobile. As we watch the race there, Bobby Allison in the pits, the crew changing left sides on the automobile.
Waltrip.
Darrell Waltrip coming down pit road. We'll see him go by Bobby Allison in just a moment. There he is. Darrell Waltrip, the leader in the pits. They're going to the left side of his automobile.
I'm pretty impressed. They did not even change the right side rubber on Allison. It looks like the Waltrip may be undergoing the same situation. They're not abusing the right side tires, despite the fact they've been running up front.
Waltrip pulling back out after having received only new rubber on the left side of the racetrack.
Allison back in.
Now coming in once again is Bobby Allison. And Jack Arute is there.
Bobby Allison coming in, and they have elected now to go to the right side. They changed left sides last time around, brought it back out. Now Waltrip has only changed the left side, as you said, and Bonnet, he went for all 4 all the way around. Now, the way they're taking on fuel, gentlemen, it's not that they need fuel. It could be that the tires are giving up. Bobby is away at 12.8 seconds.
Allison moving back out onto the racetrack. And now Jeff Bodine is back in the lead. He has led previous, so does not become our 9th. Jeff Bodine running in race traffic with Brad Teague ahead of him, and also Eddie Birschwald at number 17.
Now you figure that Bodine and Gann are going to have to come in, and by the way, Tim Richmond, yes, Tim Richmond, who spent so much time in the pits under that long yellow for rain, is in 3rd. But that's the Waltrip and Allison's story. Allison got out on the track. He's about 3/4 of a lap behind Waltrip, but he did lose a lap to him, Benny. And you figure again that Bodine and Gann and Richmond each has to come in yet.
They have to come in. Right now, Dale Earnhardt and Darrell Waltrip are very close, so Earnhardt looks like if this thing can go green flag for another 20, 30 laps, Earnhardt will be right back in the thick of things.
8 cars remain on the lead lap. We are past the halfway point of this race. Jeff Bodine, Harry Gann, Tim Richmond, Terry Labonte, and Richard Petty, the top 5, followed by Alan Kulwicki, Darrell Waltrip, and Dale Earnhardt.
There we see Bobby Allison. He has 4 fresh tires, and he went by that group we watched a moment ago of Tim Richmond, Terry Labonte, Bobby Hillin, and Richard Petty like they were tied. So those tires are doing the job for Bobby right now.
So with pit stops having been made, and we anticipate more pit stops here in the next few laps, Jeff Bodine is the leader of this Winston Cup race at Bristol International Raceway. We'll be back with more right after this. The Busch 500 from Bristol International Raceway on this Saturday evening live on ESPN. We are nearing the 300 lap mark. The lead is being held by Jeff Bodine in car number 5. Tim Richmond there in car number 25 was running 3rd until just a couple of laps ago, and he did come in for a pit stop. He's trying to get one of his laps back.
He's 2 laps right now. He's 2 laps down right now. He needs to get by Bodine desperately, because if he can get by the caution flag come out, he can make up a complete lap. But the first thing he's got to do is pass the car 5.
Remember that Richmond, the speedster originally from Ohio, now living down off of Lake Norman in North Carolina, where so many of the racers live, has been the man who has just been on fire in the last couple of months. There's Richmond moving to the high side of the Rick Hendrick teammate Jeff Bodine. In 8 of the last 9 races, Tim Richmond has finished in the top 2, including in that streak 4 wins, and he has been easily the most outstanding performer in Winston Cup racing in the last 2 months.
And the car there also in the shot, the number 9 machine of Bill Elliott. For those of you who are Bill Elliott fans, he had a serious problem. There is Darrell Waltrip passing Richard Petty and putting Petty a lap down. No, I'm sorry, that moves Darrell into 4th position and Petty back to 5th. They are on the same lap.
We saw Joe Rudman, the green Quaker State Buick, on the inside of the racetrack. He slowed down dramatically up turns 3 and 4.
And here comes Richard into the pits. Richard Petty has a problem with that STP Pontiac.
Well, maybe not. It looked like he was coming in slower than normal, but his pits are way down near the entrance to the 4th turn, Bob. He's like only the 3rd one in. Richard has been running competitive. He's been able to stay with the lead lap all day, and this may be one of the routine stops. What do you think, Ben?
I would think it's a routine stop, yes.
Quick work by the Petty crew, and he is moving back out onto the high bank. And as we mentioned, Bill Elliott, who won last weekend on the high banks of Michigan International Speedway, has not been a factor here tonight. There he is, running right behind Alan Kulwicki. He's been about 72 laps in the pits with a mechanical problem and is not going to be the winner of this race here this evening. Harry Gann passing Bill Elliott on the high side of the racetrack in the backstretch.
There's Jeff Bodine, the leader. Richard Petty, we saw him in the pits just a moment ago. He has new right sides. He should be able to get by Bodine. We'll watch as Richard Petty tries to get by. That's Tim Richmond in the red 25 right in front. He passed Bodine with those new tires, but right now the tires are giving up a little bit. Bodine trying to get him another lap down.
Now, the pit stops, many of which have come underneath the green flag, really have scrambled the standings here in the mid stages of this race. So you can't sneak out to the refrigerator too many times or you're likely to get way behind on what's happening in this race. That's the leader, Jeff Bodine. And yeah, it looks like a lot of the other guys in the track are running quicker. That's because they have made pit stops under green, got new rubber, which makes the cars quicker. But Bodine, who made that pit stop at the very beginning of that pause for yellow for rain, maybe that was a good idea. Benny and Jack banded it back and forth during that time period, but right now it's looking pretty good.
And there is Petty moving to the inside and passing the leader, Jeff Bodine. So those tires that Richard Petty now have on the car are working. And the question is, when is Jeff Bodine going to make a pit stop?
Here's Harry Gant, the second place car coming down pit road.
There is Gant sliding to a stop. Here's Jackaroo to call it.
Harry Gant has come into the pits, and just moments before, Travis Carter had said he was going to stay out for another 35 laps. That's how quick the configuration of tires can change. He's the only guy that has not decided to come in yet is Jeff Bodine, and let me update you on his condition. I checked with Gary Nelson, and they're saying they're going to try and go as far as 350 lap mark before he comes in for his pit stop. So, of all the front runners, it's Bodine, the only one that has decided to stay out as long as he can. The rest of them, because of tires, not fuel, they come in early.
Well, that will be another 41 laps, and if he can stay out there, that'll be quite an accomplishment.
Benny, if he comes in at lap 350 without any more caution flags, which is unlikely, but without any more caution flags, go the distance from there?
Yeah, sure, he can go some distance, but I don't think if he comes in at 350, I would think that he's going to change all four tires. And besides that, he's going to be very slow for the next 50 laps. As we see Bobby Allison right now, who changed four tires on his pit stop, he's gained a half a lap on Jeff Bodine right now on his rear bumper. He's going to pass him in the next lap or two. And Bodine can't stay out there and let this continue lap after lap.
Allison came in twice, remember, 2 successive laps to change tires. And here he can't change outside where we saw some of the other competitors come in and change inside, Benny.
That's true. Here's two fellows that need a caution flag desperately. Tim Richmond in 25, Bobby Austin in 22. If the caution flag would just wave, the leader, Jeff Bodine, would have to slow down. They would be able to make up a complete lap. But Richmond looks like he's slowing. Bodine trying to get by on the outside, put him another lap down.
When Bobby Allison is just really moving, pulling away from these two, Tim Richmond and Jeff Bodine, and so is Richard Petty, for that matter.
I'll tell you what, Bob. Old Jeff Bodine, for as long as he's been out there on that set of tires, is still getting around this racetrack. Right at this juncture, he really looks like the favorite to win the race. Not because he's leading, but because he's doing so well on such old tires.
Battle for third involves Terry Labonte in number 44 and Darrell Waltrip in number 11. They are about a half a lap now, or make that about a quarter of a lap behind the leader, Jeff Bodine. Remember, Harry Gant runs in that second spot. And Terry Labonte and Darrell Waltrip now battling for that second spot as Gant has dropped back. Labonte second and Waltrip is third. Here's Jackaroo.
And let's give a call to Terry Labonte's team. The Piedmont Airlines group has just steadily done their job tonight, very reminiscent of last night's run by the winner, Brett Bodine. They moved into second position. The crew up here on the wall, they're very confident. Darrell Waltrip, though, is moving up on Terry Labonte to challenge for second position. He's going for the pass right now. Let's throw it topside.
They are running nose to tail on the racetrack. There's Labonte. But Waltrip is trying to gain that position. Down the backstretch they go. Waltrip to the inside of Terry. Staying there, making no attempt for the moment to take the spot away.
Labonte has only had one top 10 in his last 11 starts, but he seems to like this racetrack. In his 15 career starts here, 13 times he's been in the top 10, so he needed the shot of Bristol in the arm because of this tailspin he's been in of recent.
What's happening right now is Terry Labonte is running in Darrell Waltrip's groove. Waltrip is a little bit the faster race car, but we noticed where Darrell's been running all day. It's up high on the racetrack. That's where Labonte's running. Darrell Waltrip has all the racetrack in the world on the bottom, but his car is not good down there, and he can't pass Labonte.
And Terry Labonte Labonte will be the driver of the Junior Johnson car next year, the car that Darrell Waltrip drives now. And Waltrip once again makes the bid for that spot. He pulls down and almost even with Terry. Now coming off the fourth corner, the cars nearly side by side, but again, Waltrip cannot take that position away.
Go ahead, Ben.
We saw Darrell Waltrip's hands inside the automobile very quickly, back and forth. The car was getting loose coming off that corner. He had to steer it to save it. Otherwise, he was going to spin out.
The comment about next year about the 44 car, the Piedmont Airlines car, the Billy Hagan, Wayne King team, that is right now, by beyond the shadow of any doubt, the best car that's still available, has not been assigned a driver yet for next year. Lots of questions up and down pit road as to exactly who will end up in that ride. Now, we heard tonight as Waltrip goes to the inside of Labonte. Labonte trying to follow Tim Richmond through, and the lap traffic of Buddy Arrington shuts off this bid by Waltrip. We heard tonight that the Piedmont Airlines people are going to stay with Hagan, and that they are talking to at least a couple of people of the current fraternity of NASCAR drivers seriously. They are not talking about bringing in a new person, but they're talking to somebody right now, and we can speculate in just a bit as to who that might be.
Tim Richmond moved over, let Labonte, Darrell Waltrip both go by.
Here are the people who are available. Ken Schrader might be available. Joe Rutland is certainly available. I would assume that everybody has to take a look at Alan Kowicki after what he has done this year. Ron Bouchard, for the time being, appears to be standing on the sidelines. And maybe Mike Alexander, maybe Dale Jarrett.
No, Darrell giving Terry a little bit of a bump there in the rear end of the machine.
Darrell wants by. Folks, he wants by so bad he can taste it. But Labonte's in his way. He's where Darrell wants to be. If he could just nudge him a little bit, get him up just a few feet, maybe he could be able to get by. But Labonte ain't going to have none of that.
Using the high groove there in turns 3 and 4 and staying pretty much in the middle of the racetrack. Now taking the high side also in turns 1 and 2. And there is Neil Bonnet that both Terry Labonte and Darrell Waltrip passed. We'll be back in just a moment with more live coverage from Bristol, Tennessee. Jeff Bodine leads the Busch 500 at Bristol International Raceway. There is his wife keeping the lap charts in the pit area for Jeff. Second position is Terry Labonte, then Darrell Waltrip, and Dale Earnhardt. Those 4 cars on the lead lap. A lap down in 5th is Alan Kowicki, then Harry Gant, Richard Petty. In 8th position, 2 laps down, is Tim Richmond. 9th, also 2 laps down, Bobby Allison. 10th is Tommy Ellis. In 11th position is Dave Marcus. 12th, 3 laps down, Morgan Shepherd. And the number 12 car of Neil Bonnet. That's the way they stand with 334 laps completed. And this is the best race on the track at the moment as Terry Labonte continues to hold off the challenge of Darrell Waltrip for 2nd place. Darrell Waltrip, a 9-time winner here at Bristol, and we asked him about the essence of winning on this racetrack.
What's the essence to being a winner here at Bristol?
Well, the latter stages of this race are so hard on you physically and mentally. And you just got to keep the right attitude. I know you can make up a lot of ground here. I've lost it that way. I've won it that way. So with that in the back of my mind all the time, no matter how far ahead I get, I never get really confident. Or no matter how far behind I get, I never get really discouraged because I know you can make it up. I know you can win the race from a lot of laps down here.
Several drivers who have gone a lap down have made up their laps so far in this race. And now Waltrip and Labonte are catching the leader, Jeff Bodine, and Waltrip making a bid once again in the backstretch. But Labonte just will not give up that 2nd spot, or will he? They're in the 4th corner now. Down the straightaway, Labonte still will not give up that 2nd position. Jack Arute.
An interesting sidebar as we watch this battle of Darrell Waltrip and Terry Labonte. When Junior Johnson first mentioned the name Labonte to many of his counterparts, everybody said, well, Labonte doesn't have the killer instinct. He can't go and just battle for a position. Tonight, he may be proving a point at the expense of Junior Johnson himself. Darrell Waltrip is current driver. You know the rumors that are pretty much fact. The Labonte will take over the seat next year. Well, maybe he's proving a point to his future owner, and that, of course, they're catching the leader now, Jeff Bodine. Labonte may be trying to
it's just going to be a matter of time before Terry Labonte moves into the lead, because both Labonte and Waltrip have now caught Jeff Bodine. And if Bodine is trying to stretch it to 350 laps, as we heard earlier, he only has 10 more to go.
We are going to see a heck of a race here in a minute if Bodine just won't hit on us. But as soon as Labonte gets to him, I would think that Gary Nelson will bring in Jeff Bodine, because he certainly doesn't have anything to prove by staying out there. What I mean is that if they stay out and start racing, and they were to have a crash or something like that, it'd be crazy, because Jeff Bodine, look, Terry Labonte goes by on the outside, Bodine does even contest the market.
Bodine about to lose the lead. Here they come down the straightaway, and Terry Labonte does take the lead. Here comes Darrell Waltrip right behind him. Waltrip moves into second. Bodine drops back to third, and now we should be seeing a pit stop, we would think, by Jeff Bodine momentarily. Terry Labonte becomes our 9th different leader of the evening.
Point being here is that they circle the racetrack in about 17 and a half seconds at race speed. Bodine comes in. It's likely he's going to lose a lap. So now that strategy of stopping first underneath the red or the yellow flag for rain begins to not look good.
Well, I don't know. He has led a lot of this race.
Boy, I would think he's got to come in soon, though, because the longer he stays out there, the further away Labonte and Waltrip get. It gives him less and less time to do his work in the pits without losing a lap.
Well, the question is right now is, when did Terry Labonte stop last? I think he stopped at the same time Jeff Bodine did. If that be the case, yes, Bodine probably does need to stop.
Terry Labonte has won one race so far this year. That was in Rockingham.
Waltrip almost lost the car trying to get Labonte off to turn 4 that time.
There is Jeff Bodine running in third position. Now the leaders. We're timing the lap by Terry Labonte to see how fast they are going. And it is a 17.9 second lap. And that's about 107 miles an hour.
That is a doggone good lap at this point of the race. At 350 laps into the race, and as many laps as Terry Labonte has been out there with these tires, that's a good lap. Jackal Root down to the pits.
All right, let's update you, Benny. They're getting ready to bring Jeff Bodine in. They're coming up to that 350 mark. To update you on when Terry Labonte's coming in, and we may have a caution coming out. It's going to be a break for everyone. He's scheduled to come in on lap 356. But if this slower car of Eddie Bierswell doesn't get off the racetrack, we may have a caution.
What a break this will be for Jeff Bodine, but Bierswell pulls off the racetrack, and so there will be no yellow. Boy, it almost came down to a break for Jeff Bodine, but not so. Bierswell came slowly down the straightaway, but at the end of the pit wall, he pulled off of the racetrack. Now, here is Bodine coming in for the stop. Here's Jack.
So Bodine stakes his way down to the service of Gary Nelson and the Hendrick Motorsport team. They put the jack underneath the right side. They're going to take on right side tires. They're adjusting the wedge of the car behind the driver's head. One tank of fuel has gone in. The second tank being loaded. This will give him enough fuel to go the distance. But the question, of course, will be tires. Only 2 on the right side, and he's off and away. Now, the next, in 15.9 seconds, but the next guy scheduled to come in just 4 laps is Terry Labonte, your current leader. We'll be back with that in a minute.
Labonte and Waltrip still running right together on the racetrack. Waltrip going low out of the second turn down the backstretch. Labonte, though, holding on to that lead.
A synopsis of Bodine coming in. He went 203 laps before he made that pit stop. He lost the lap when he came in to Waltrip and Labonte. He can go the distance. Will the tires hold up? And will he be able to catch Labonte and Waltrip? Do they have to come in yet? Yeah, we think they do.
The crew stands in readiness for the stop by Terry Labonte. But he elects to stay out there for the moment, at least, and battle with Darrell Waltrip.
I tell you what, this is... I didn't think... Labonte's coming
Crash in the front stretch, or make it Earnhardt. Sorry.
Oh, Earnhardt hitting the wall hard in the main straightaway. Slides to the downside of the track, almost hits the inside pit wall, but manages to keep it away from there. But Earnhardt had some pretty good contact with the outside wall. He gets the car moving again, though. But this will bring out the caution.
What a break for Labonte and for Waltrip that might have lost the race for Bodine.
And that is the story of racing, ladies and gentlemen. Timing. Waltrip and Labonte both come into the pits. Jackaroo is watching the activity.
They go to work on Darrell Waltrip's car to the right side. And on the other side of the screen is Terry Labonte. They've gone to the right side as well. They're going to take on 4 tires with Labonte as well as Waltrip. What a great break for Labonte. Labonte was just 1 lap away from being called into the pits. In fact, Steve Amell was already talking to him on the radio to bring him in. You're seeing Waltrip is down and away first. They pulled away some sheet metal from Terry Labonte's left-hand tires. He's off and away, but it's still a terrific break. More so for Labonte than for Waltrip.
Earnhardt comes into the pit, so does Jeff Bodine, so does Bobby Allison, and Richard Petty, Tim Richmond, Neil Bonnet, and Bobby Hillin Jr., while Darrell Waltrip catches up to the rest of the pack coming down the main straightaway. There is the damage done to the Dale Earnhardt car, as he had some pretty good contact with the wall here on the main straightaway right at the start-finish line.
I don't think anybody touched him either, Benny. I think he just lost it coming out of turn number 4. Let's take another look at it. Well, we got the end of it. This is after Dale has touched the outside wall. He starts heading down towards the lower wall. You stand on the brakes.
I don't see any car around it that he might have contact with. Maybe he came off the corner, got the car a little bit loose, and went into the wall, but I really don't know. That's strictly guesswork. And the damage to the right front really and truly doesn't look that bad.
We're in our 5th caution period of the evening. Jeff Bodine is still in the pits. They're changing rubber on the left side of the car. Now they send him away. And you're right, Jeff Bodine may have lost this race because of this most recent caution period. Yellow because of Dale Earnhardt's crash on the main straightaway. Back with more right after this. Darrell Waltrip in the Junior Johnson-owned Budweiser Chevrolet leads this Busch 500. And some statistic on Junior Johnson's record at Bristol as a car owner. He's won 8 of the last 12 races. He has more wins as a car owner here than any other short track, 20. And Junior also has a victory here as a driver. There is Junior watching from the pit area. His drivers, Darrell Waltrip, who is leading, and Neil Bonnet, who was in contention for a while but is no longer.
The second leading car owners team of all time, Holman and Moody. Third is Petty Engineering. When you think of Holman and Moody, what's the first thing, Benny, that pops into your mind? Red Lorenz?
Fords.
Fords, yeah. Fords, yeah.
Light on the pace car is out. We'll be going back to green on lap number 362. We only have 2 cars on the lead lap, number 11 and 44, Waltrip and Labonte. Harry Gant, right behind Labonte, is a lap down in 3rd. So is Bobby Allison, so is Jeff Bodine, and so is Dale Earnhardt. 2 laps down in 7th is Richard Petty, then Tim Richmond and Alan Kulwicki. Green flag, back out. Racing resumes at Bristol. And the leaders just take off like a shot, especially Darrell Waltrip. Update in the American League baseball scores. Of course, we'll have a complete wrap-up on all the day's sports activity on SportsCenter later this evening after we conclude our Winston Cup race here at Bristol.
Can you believe that Boston Red Sox performance the other night? 25 runs? Woo.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Great pitching battle, eh?
Great defensive game, yes. Darrell Waltrip has really opened up the advantage now over Terry Labonte. He's gained almost half a straightaway lead since the green has come back out.
Benny, who do you think has the advantage in this race right now? I don't think Bodine's going to come in anymore. I believe Waltrip has to. What about Labonte? I don't think he'll have to come in. What do you think?
I don't think Darrell Waltrip's going to have to pit again. It looks like Darrell Waltrip right now is going to make shambles of this car race. We've only been back to green 2 or 3 laps. He's driving away.
car battling for position, or third, as a matter of fact. They're a lap down to the leaders, and so is Jeff Bodine. He's also involved in this race.
The 44 car of Terry Labonte is holding those cars up just a little bit. I think if Bobby Allison in the 22 could get by, he maybe could catch Darrell Waltrip and do something with him, but he's going to try Labonte on the inside now as he exits turn 4.
Not able to do it, though.
Well, Benny, you're right. I had overlooked the fact that Darrell did come in. I did not see him duck into the pits during one of those caution flags. All those people running in the top 5 have been in. So at this point, Allison, Gant,
Yellow.
Bodine.
Car in the wall, turn 2, DK Ulrich.
I was going to say what they need is a yellow, but they need a yellow when they're in front of Darrell, not when Darrell's out front, high, wide, and handsome like that.
Darrell's going to accelerate. He's not going to let Bobby Allison, Harry Gant, Jeff Bodine get that lap back.
I'm not sure there was wall contact by Ulrich, but he did spin over there in the second turn. It brings out the yellow flag.
There was not wall contact.
No.
He just went down the front straightaway. There was no damage to the automobile.
Right, no coach work damage being shown on that number 6 machine. But the yellow does come out once again. And the word is that Terry is not happy. Labonte is not happy with his car and is going to be making a pit stop. Here comes Harry Gant in. So is Tim Richmond and Dale Earnhardt. And we'll wait to see if Terry Labonte comes in next time around. Neil Bonnet also coming in for a change of tires. It was a quick stop for Tim Richmond as he's back out there already. And now the work completed on the Harry Gant machine. He's going back out on the racetrack. They continue to work on the Dale Earnhardt car, but it's more than just changing the tires. Now they finally get the work done, and Dale Earnhardt goes back onto the racetrack. Neil Bonnet is the only one remaining in the pit area, and now the work on his car is complete.
I don't think Earnhardt liked the 4 tires he had on the car. I don't think he liked the stagger situation that was on there because he was not able to keep up with those lead cars. He was dropping back. Therefore, he stopped, changed all 4 tires so that he could get the change of stagger more to his liking.
You know, the dog days of summer, in a way, we're in the dog laps of this race. 500 laps. We've got more than 100 laps to go, 130 laps. And I think to keep in mind specifically at this point, the cars and drivers that are only 1 lap down, they're the ones that have a chance of getting back into this. Gant, Allison, Bodine, and Earnhardt, all 1 lap down.
374 laps will be complete when they come down. And we'll be back with more of our live coverage in a moment here on ESPN.
I'm here in Terry Labonte's pit, and very quickly with Steve Himmel, you elected not to bring him in. What's the story?
Well, there's only 2 cars in the late lap, and we actually run better as the race goes on. On new tires, we push a little bit, but Darrell's awful good anyway. I don't know if we can do a whole lot with him.
But just remember, guys, it ain't over till it's over.
It sounds like Steve may be saying Waltrip, at least at the moment, appears to have this race in the bag.
It looks like Darrell Waltrip is the class of the field. In watching it is. But, hey, you've got some good cars back there. Earnhardt, Harry Gant, 25, Bobby Allison. Bobby Allison on the inside of Darrell Waltrip. We're going to see a race right now, guys.
And anything can happen on this racetrack. This race is far from over. Although Waltrip is the superior machine at the moment, there are a lot of laps to be run. And the green comes back out. We resume action.
See those sparks from Darrell when he went into turn 1, turn 2? Tell me he wasn't standing on a corner, or standing on the button rather, trying to push that gas pedal right through the floor as he went into those banks. He's trying to get out there. He is not conceding this race to himself. You heard him earlier on this broadcast in a taped interview saying, hey, I've had those leads at Bristol. I've been behind at Bristol. I am never confident when I'm up front, and I never give up when I'm behind because things happen so quick.
Battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th. Number 3, Dale Earnhardt, despite the fact that he crashed here on the main straightaway, is still out there, a lap down, though, in 5th. And then Harry Gant is in 6th in the number 33 car. And Gant had the inside advantage there for the moment, but gave it up.
There again, just could not handle well enough on the bottom of the racetrack to make the pass on Earnhardt. Meanwhile, Jim Rick was trying to pass Harry again to 25.
You can see the damage there on the front end of Dale Earnhardt's car as a result of that incident with the wall down here in the main straightaway. But it is not affecting the operation of that car, it seems, at all. Now Gant once again making a bid to the low side, still unable.
What Harry's going to do, he's going to try it a few times on the bottom of the racetrack, a few times on the bottom of the racetrack, and then he's going to try to drive by Earnhardt on the outside.
Little cat and mouse game on the high banks. Waltrip continues to be the leader. You see the sparks coming from the underneath side of that car because of the bottoming out.
Right behind Darrell Waltrip and Bobby Allison, Jeff Bodine and Terry Labonte are side by side.
There is Jeff Bodine. May have gotten a good combination of tires and stagger and is trying to gain the lap back. He did lose a lap and is running lap down to the leaders in 4th position, but appears to be running well now in that Levi Garrett Chevy. Neil Bonnet has gotten out of the number 12 car. Jack Arute can fill us in.
Well, Kyle Petty has replaced Neil Bonnet at the wheel of the Budweiser Kentucky Fried Chicken number 12. What took you out of the race, Neil?
Jackie, that's the same seat that was in the car when I had the wreck in Pocono, when I broke my ribs, and it's gouging me right in the very same place. Felt like every lap somebody sticking a knife in my ribs. I didn't get hot or that tired. It's just a pain, and I had to get out.
And so Kyle's in the car now.
Yeah, Kyle's in right now.
And that's a big break for Kyle Petty. He has always, throughout his career, wanted a chance to drive a Junior Johnson automobile. He's got it tonight.
Kyle Petty was the very first driver out of the race. His number 711 Ford gave up the ghost very early in the going, and he's been just standing around in his pits since then, but now gets the opportunity to relief drive for Neil Bonnet. There is Darrell Waltrip continuing to lead. Labonte is in 2nd position in car number 44. Jeff Bodine is a lap down. He's at number 5.
Terry Labonte in the Piedmont Olds and Jeff Bodine in the Levi Garrett Exxon Chevrolet. Chevrolets populated this field more than anybody else. You see the average speed down to 82 miles an hour after 390 laps. Obviously, that long yellow for rain really slowed the speed down. There were 10 Chevys that qualified for this race tonight, including the 1st, 2nd, 5th, 8th, and 10th fastest, so 5 of the 10 were in the top 10. There were 7 Fords and 7 Pontiacs, 3 Buicks, and 3 Oldsmobiles. Now, Chevys, which Jeff Bodine is in, have dominated the middle section of the Winston Cup Series. Bodine looking low on Labonte again. They have won 7 of the last 10 races after there were 6 different manufacturer marks who graced victory lane to begin the 1986 season.
When we watched the beginning of this race, if you were with us at the beginning of this race, you saw all the cars on the bottom of the racetrack. That's called the groove. The fastest way around the racetrack, that's called the groove. Jeff Bodine in the 5 automobile. He's running where all the cars were running at the beginning. Right now, they're all running where the 44, the blue and white Oldsmobile of Terry Labonte, they're all running up there. That's how much the groove has changed since the beginning of the race.
A week from tomorrow, we'll be on the high banks of Darlington International Raceway for the Southern 500. Benny, you'll be in that race. Sure would like to bring home a win in that one, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I sure would. And there goes Bodine on the inside. You know, at the Atlanta Invitational back in May, I was able to talk to you guys from the victory lane, and it's a great place to talk to you, let me tell you.
Better than sitting up here?
Better than sitting up here.
Oh, come on.
Southern 500, one of the premier stock car races for NASCAR, next Sunday afternoon live from Darlington International Raceway. And the day before that, on Saturday, a week from today, we will have a Grand National race from Darlington, and that is always one of the most exciting races of the entire season on ESPN.
And for those of you who like to follow Indianapolis cars, also next week we'll be at the Mid-Ohio Race Course near Mansfield, Ohio, Lexington, Ohio, where Bobby Rahal will try to defend the honor of the Truman family and try to uphold the standard bearer and maybe win another IndyCar race. Of course, we resume that great point battle with this year the family Andretti seemingly heading it up, whereas last year, of course, the family Al Unser were the people who were the standard bearers there.
Terry Labonte is in second position into number 44, and Jeff Bodine is fourth in number 55. Bobby Allison, car number 22, is in third position. That's the car right ahead of Terry Labonte. Labonte and Darrell Waltrip, the only two cars on the lead lap, and Waltrip now with about a half a straightaway or perhaps even a 3/4 of a straightaway lead on Terry Labonte.
We've talked about Labonte and Bodine and Waltrip, of course. Bodine with laps down. Run down for you some of the other cars that have remained out all night long. Eddie Burschwall is still on the racetrack. The 3 car of Earnhardt, of course. The 8 of Bobby Hillin. 12 of Neil Bonnet. 9 of Bill Elliott, 67 Buddy Arrington. The 18 car of Tommy Ellis in the top 10. There you see Jim Richmond doing battle with Richard Petty. They are battling in the top 10. Alan Kowicki, Rusty Wallace is back out. Joe Ruttman back up to speed. D.K. Ulrich, Michael Waltrip. The 71 car of Dave Marcus. He's been in the top 10 most of the night, and Bobby Allison.
This is the battle for 7th position. Richard Petty and Tim Richmond, they are really going at it. Both cars 2 laps down, but they're fighting as if it is for all the marbles. You can see some damage there on the left front of the Richard Petty car.
That happened very early on when Rusty Wallace missed a shift or his transmission broke going in turn 1, right in the back of it. But it doesn't seem to affect the way the car's handling on the racetrack.
And Tim Richmond looks like his streak of finishing either first or second is not going to be continued here tonight. And Tim has had numerous problems in that Folger-sponsored Chevrolet number 25.
They run together 2 laps down, and not only are they those 2 laps down, but they're also about half a lap behind. And Joe Ruttman's slowing dramatically here in the front stretch, but they run about a half a lap behind on the racetrack from the leader, Darrell Waltrip. And Waltrip, by the way, has put distance between himself and the second running car on the track, which is Bobby Allison, 1 lap down. Allison still holds a bit of an advantage over Terry Labonte, but Allison, or rather Waltrip, has got himself in a position where lots of smooth sailing. There's distance between the car behind him as well as the one in front of him.
And here is the battle for 5th position. Dale Earnhardt in number 3 and Harry Gant in number 33. Both cars working the top portion of the racetrack.
They go around Marcus in the Helen Ray car, Burschwall in the number 17 car, the Roger Hemby machine, which Pancho Carter has been in a couple times, talking about Indianapolis car drivers. But right now it's Gant and Earnhardt in the spotlight, 5th place and 6th place. All 3s, 3 3s, 3 trays up there.
I tell you what, I'm thinking about right now. We talked about it earlier on in the show. Dale Earnhardt, car 3 in the Wrangler Chevrolet. He's leading the Winston Cup right now. Darrell Waltrip is second. And we talked about Darrell Waltrip always making his charge at this time of the year. Whatever happens tonight, I think Darrell Waltrip served notice. He's going to be a factor before this year's over.
If the race were to end right now, Waltrip would gain 20 points and shrink Dale Earnhardt's Winston Cup point lead to 121.
If Harry Gant can get by him, that would be 25 points. Harry took a look on the inside, but these cars are so hard now to pass on the inside, which just a couple hours ago was the fastest way around the racetrack.
We are less than 100 laps from the finish. We are 89, as a matter of fact, from the checkered flag, as 411 laps have been completed. The lead is held by Darrell Waltrip. Terry Labonte in second place, the only other car on the lead lap. We'll be right back. Back at Bristol International Raceway, where Darrell Waltrip continues to set the pace. Running with him on the track is Joe Ruttman in car number 26, the Kenny Bernstein-owned Quaker State machine. And this is the battle for 5th. Dale Earnhardt and Harry Gant. These guys have been running nose to tail and side by side for numerous laps, but Harry just can't seem to get the job done.
Just can't get it. He can get alongside Dale Earnhardt, but again, Earnhardt on the outside of the racetrack. When they come off the corner, Earnhardt squirts away from him.
points leader. Where you can see he has 3 wins this year in Winston Cup competition.
The two of them are about half of the track distance behind leader Darrell Waltrip, who was just, by the way, tiptoed through the tulips, got through about 5 or 6 lap prepping cars. Harry Gant still trying the inside of Earnhardt. They're having a real good show of it out there. Having a lot of fun out there. You with us last night, you heard Earnhardt say how much fun he has here at Bristol International Raceway. And he's having some fun right now. Harry Gant has shown him how to have fun out there. Again, they are not only the lap down, but about half of the track distance behind Waltrip, who having things going his own way right now. No problem.
Larry, let me tell you something. If Dale Earnhardt told you last night he was having fun, he lied to you. Because I'll tell you what, he's not having fun right now. Harry Gant is too close, and it's 5 points. Dale Earnhardt knows how valuable that is. He wants Harry Gant to be completely out of the rearview mirror.
Darrell Waltrip's lead is 3.36 seconds on Terry Labonte. Again, Allison running 3rd and Jeff Bodine is 4th. This the battle for 5th position. Earnhardt and Harry Gant. Earnhardt's machine is all battered and tore up, and Harry's doesn't appear to have any paint missing from it at all.
I wish that we could graphically show for you or take the racetrack right into your living room at home. This is about the best we can do. But to give you the feeling, the emotion of a 35-degree bank, the television camera flattens it out. Even though you see the numbers boldly on the roof of the car, you say, yeah, we can tell it's a high bank racetrack. This track is banked higher than both Daytona and Talladega. Just try to walk up a 35 or 36-degree bank, and it's almost impossible. It's a very dramatic racetrack. If you've never seen it, boy, I would encourage you just to come down here. Even if you're on vacation sometime, you don't have to get one of the Winston Cup or Stock Car weekends. It's an exciting racetrack just to be inside of.
And Larry Carrier, the owner of this racetrack, has just done a tremendous job in making improvements here. He has added grandstands on the backstretch in the 4th turn, and it is just a delightful place to come and watch a race from. The interval between 1st and 2nd position, as we told you, it's just about 3 1/3 seconds. There is Terry Labonte in the number 44 Oldsmobile, running 2nd to Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip entering turn number 1, and Labonte now moving into turn number 1. You know, Darrell Waltrip mentioned a word in the very opening of the show, dizzy. Now, we had a chance to get out here in our cars the other night on Thursday night as we were trying to get the lights adjusted. And I was running hot laps, Benny. I'll bet I was going at least...
You're being
65.
kind to yourself.
I'll bet I was going at least 65 to 70 miles an hour. And that did become a factor with me. I got dizzy out there going around in a circle that fast. And, you know, that was only about half as fast as these guys are going.
I don't really think it was the circle that made you dizzy. I think it was the bumps, the up and down while going through the turn, while going around in a circle. But it had not been for the bumps, I don't think that you would have got dizzy. But we see the Darrell Waltrip car and several of these cars sparking as they go into the turn. They're bottoming out. That means that the suspension of the car is dragging the racetrack, and that's because of the bumps. And I think that's what caused it. Bill Elliott, car 9, right behind Darrell Waltrip. But Bill, as you mentioned earlier on, stopped for about 70 laps to make a mechanical adjustment on his car.
Bill Elliott, the winner last weekend in Michigan, not a factor all night. Well, Bobby Allison has had something go wrong with his car. He's just scraped the wall and is now slowing down as he goes down the backstretch.
Joe Ruttman goes by, Kowicki, 27, and Rusty Wallace. There go Earnhardt and Gant, Dave Marcus to the inside, and here comes Allison into the pits.
He was running in 3rd position when this problem occurred. Let's go to Jack Arute, who's there in the Bobby Allison pit.
Bobby Allison locks the wheels up momentarily as he comes to rest here for service to the Bowman Brothers entry. They're going to the right side, as that's the side they got up against the wall, scraping the tires. We'll wait to see as the tires come back around to see which one of them actually was flat. The right rear is okay, but it's the right front. It's obvious that the right front went flat on Bobby Allison.
Allison gives up that 3rd position, and we are only now about 67 laps from the end of this race.
A few moments ago, we gave you a rundown of the people still out there. We can give you an unofficial breakout now of where they are positioned in the racetrack. Bodine 4th, Earnhardt 5th, Gant 6th. Allison will now move back to 7th, 2 laps down. 8th is the 25 car of Tim Richmond. 9th, 2 laps down is Richard Petty. In 10th position, 3 laps down. Bobby Helen. 11th is Ellen Wicke. Then followed by Tommy Ellis. These are 6 laps down or more. Tommy Ellis, Neil Bonnet, Joe Ruttman, Michael Waltrip, and Dave Marcus.
There we see Bobby Allison. Here he comes off the corner. Jeff Bodine right behind him. The right front tire goes flat. Bobby comes up, hits the wall. We see Bodine going by. Bobby Allison went in the pits, changed the right front tire, which was flat, but he has knocked the front end out of alignment. He's not able to get his Buick back up to speed. Therefore, they're just simply driving away from him.
This is Bristol, Tennessee, and in case you're wondering, for all of you northerners and west coasters, yeah, the drought in here too, although it's rained a lot in the last 10, 14 days. And Benny, as a matter of fact, when we flew in here on Thursday, there were so many lush forests, hills, I couldn't find the airport. It didn't look like there was enough room. There wasn't enough flat land to make an airport to land an airplane.
This is very hilly country. This is just in the crest of the Appalachian Mountain Range.
Trying to establish an interval between first and second. About 15 laps ago, it was 3.3 seconds. And I believe it's a little bit more than that right now. So Waltrip is still stretching it out. We'll get the clock on Waltrip this time to see if it has increased from that 3 1/3 second. Yep, it's more than 4 seconds now. So Waltrip has pulled out to about another second advantage over Terry Labonte.
The thing that strikes me, if you look back at Darrell Waltrip historically, chances are, Benny, he's probably not revealing his entire hand even. He really has a superior machine, I think, right now.
Well, I think that Darrell Waltrip right now, why does he have to run so hard? He's just trying to get to lap 500 because, hey, it's not been a great year for Darrell Waltrip. At this point of the season, he's accustomed to have won 5 races. So far, he only has 1 victory to his credit.
And it's just a little bit more on that second check of the interval. Went from 4.4 to 4.6.
Only 1 victory so far for Waltrip, but in the 19 races up till tonight, he has 15 top 5 finishes. The only races he finished out of the top 10 at 27th at Martinsville, both of the Talladega races, and he failed to finish the very first Pocono race. But ironically, listen to this, he had 1 first, 2 seconds, 3 thirds, 4 fourths, and 5 fifths. Looks like he may be breaking that little pair up, or that quintet up tonight.
Bill Elliott continues to run on the racetrack, and Jack Arute asked him about driving on the short racetrack.
Well, what does Bill Elliott's short track book for Bristol say?
It says, don't go. No, it isn't that bad. You know, I've run pretty well here. I know the racetrack. I know pretty much what I want. I don't normally get what I want out of the race car, but, you know, I've got a good idea of what I need to do to run well here. But still, yet, you got to survive. That's one thing that we've not had a good luck on the short track. Seems like where there's been an accident or something going wrong, I've been right in the middle of it. So, you know, you got to come here. You got to run well. You got to survive and be there to you.
Well, Bill Elliott's problem tonight was not being involved in an accident. It was a mechanical problem that dropped him about 70 laps off the pace. So his problems at this racetrack continue. The string will continue. He will not finish on the lead lap.
But I tell you, Bob, the Bill Elliott Tours Ford this time ran better than it has been. Don't you think? Don't you think he's a little more competitive than we've seen here before?
Oh, absolutely.
Remember that last year when he came here, he had never led 1 lap on a short track. And when he was going after the Winston Cup last year, he managed to lead a lap on one of those caution flags when everybody was pitting. And he ran competitive here at Bristol last year. You know, I think a factor on that is, Benny, that Bristol is a short track, but it's as close to a super speedway short track as you're going to find.
It sure is, because the speed here is extremely fast. Bill Elliott right now at that point of the race is probably running 140 miles an hour going into that corner, and that's fast. I don't care if it is a half-mile racetrack.
Not only has Bill not too great a record here, but quite honestly, his record on short tracks not all that favorable. He has finished on the lead lap on short tracks only twice in his career, and both have been at North Wilkesboro in 1983
only because of this guy right here. This is the fellow who's been driving for Junior Johnson since 1980 or 81, and he's the fellow who's dominated these short racetracks. We saw where Junior Johnson has won 20 races at Bristol. This guy, Darrell Waltrip, won 7 in a row at this racetrack, and it looks like he might be one to start over.
Look at this. It looks like we're backing up the tape and replaying it from about 50 laps ago. These guys are still going at it, Earnhardt and Gant.
And Earnhardt's getting higher and higher in the corner. We see him going in the corner. The last time he was right up against the guardrail. This time not quite as high.
Jeff Bodine still runs in the same lap with these two. He's in third. Jeff, by the way, has, about a third of a lap lead. He's entering turns 3 and 4 as Earnhardt and Gant are going down the backstretch going into turn 3. So it doesn't look like they're going to be a threat to Bodine, and it doesn't look like anybody's going to be a threat to Waltrip.
It certainly doesn't. I think Harry Gant might be a threat to the Bodine automobile if he could just get by Earnhardt. But we've been watching him for 50 laps. He hasn't got by, so what's to think he's going to be able to get by in the next 50 laps?
Dale Earnhardt, who was so strong at the beginning of the year, it looked like he was going to make a shambles of the points. He's not the kind of guy to slack off the pace, but I think we're seeing an example of how scientific, how much money is now being infused to Winston Cup racing. Everybody's caught up with him, Benny.
Well, they sure have. Earlier on in the year, Earnhardt could not be beaten. His car was just superior everywhere he went. Right now, Darrell Waltrip has a superior car, and Earnhardt, all they can do to keep Harry Gant behind him. Although Earnhardt does have some damage to his automobile, and I'm sure that he has knocked the front end out of alignment, and it's probably a little bit hard to steer as he goes around the turns.
We have 42 laps to go in this race. 458 have been completed. There's the leader, Darrell Waltrip from Franklin, Tennessee. Last year in this race, he finished 4th, and in the Valleydale 500 earlier this year here at Bristol, he was 3rd. Now what we're going to do is show you everybody else that's running on the racetrack. This is Eddie Bierschwal in car number 17. Earlier, his car appeared to quit running here on the main straightaway. He pulled it off the racetrack, but they made some adjustments, and he is back out there. Also running with him on the racetrack is Tommy Ellis in car number 18.
Eddie Bierschwal is the young driver from San Antonio, Texas, who came up this year, and it looked like he had made the big break. Looked like he had landed a big-time sponsor. He came with Kodak, but things just didn't work out. He no longer has the sponsor. Here's Tommy Ellis, who's a graduate of the Grand National Sportsman ranks. Of course, we saw them in action last night. Tommy has a tremendous record in that. He's another fellow who seemed to come up and looked like he was ready to make the big move.
There's Alan Kowicki in a Ford, sponsored by Quincy Steakhouse. As a matter of fact, I got a thing the other day where Alan, the engine in his car is the one he's been using all day. He said it's so tough, we're going to call it sirloin.
Till a tire went down, by the way, about 150 laps ago. Kowicki had stayed on the lead lap. Dave Marcus, Helen Ray racer.
Jeff Bodine passing on the high side, and Terry Labonte, who is in second place, also passing Dave Marcus on the backstretch.
Dave Marcus, who spends the time when he's not running a Winston Cup car as one of the official test drivers for the IROC series, spends a lot of time working with Jay Signori on that series.
And right behind Dave Marcus is not Neil Bonnet. It's Neil Bonnet's race car, but Kyle Petty has come in relief. We heard Neil tell us a few minutes ago that the ribs that he injured at Pocono, now they're giving him a little problem tonight, so he came out of the car, and Kyle Petty, who was the first out of this race in his Wood Brothers machine, is in for Neil Bonnet. Behind Kyle Petty is the number 67 machine of Buddy Arrington, and on the high side of the racetrack, Bobby Hillin Jr.
Bobby Hillin has been able to keep within a couple of laps. Buddy Arrington, by the way, was in one of the worst crashes of his career earlier this year at Pocono. There is Bobby Hillin, the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Mike Potter was standing by in potential relief for Arrington tonight, but Buddy has not called in and said, hey, I need you. Buddy is still driving, and Mike is still watching.
By the way, Bobby is running in 9th position here at this time. He did, of course, win the extremely exciting Talladega race a couple months ago.
Benny, I think that was the biggest story of this year so far in Winston Cup racing, Hillin winning at Talladega.
I think it is. There's no doubt that Hillin's went down there. 22 years old, winning the Talladega 500, the fastest race racetrack, sure, that's a story. There's Earnhardt in there again, and guess what? It's been 30 laps since we saw him again. Nothing's changed.
Fourth and fifth. Earnhardt in fourth, and Harry Gant running in fifth position. There is Dale. And there is Harry. Now we'll continue to move through the back and pick up on Bill Elliott here in the Coors Melling Ford.
Both of Bill's wins in 1986 have come in his adopted home of Michigan, Jackson, Michigan, that is, the Michigan International Speedway. There is Buddy Arrington. There's Marcus again, going down the backstretch. There's Rich. Remember, he lost a couple laps earlier. He was on the lead lap despite a lot of problems the first couple of 100 laps.
Tim Richmond is in sixth position. Behind him on the racetrack is the number 26 car of Joe Ruttman. And Ruttman has been in and out of the pits all evening and is not in contention for the win.
Now, he slowed down about 50 or 60 laps ago, and he obviously has made the decision to stay out there and rack up whatever points or whatever money they can for a finishing position. But after running in that lead pack for the first 50 or 75 laps, he got a lap down after one of the rounds of pit stop. The car really dropped off the pace about a half hour, 45 minutes ago, Benny, and Joe just hasn't been able to power up to get up there and get through.
No, he hasn't. It looks like the engine problem is overheated or something, because while he's been running slow on the bottom of the racetrack there, he's also made several pit stops.
By the way, he told me tonight that, yeah, he's actively working. He's got a lot of potential prospects for next year. He's not panicking right now. He feels he's got a long time that he can wait perhaps until December to make the decision for next year.
In the very early going of the race, Rusty Wallace looked like he had the momentum to carry him to his second consecutive victory here at Bristol. But then something went wrong with the car, and although he is still out there on the racetrack, Rusty Wallace will not have a victory here tonight. Now there is the leader, Darrell Waltrip, who is approaching Richard Petty, who is running in seventh spot. At the moment, he is 2 laps down, but is about to go 3 laps down, and there it is.
Richard Petty did not want to lose that lap because it gets him out of sync with all the cars that were in the lap with him. Darrell Waltrip, 25 laps to go. He can almost smell that checker flag now.
Now, the biggest part of the story for Waltrip, obviously, is the only other car in the lead lap, which is Labonte. By the way, the interval has not only stretched to seconds. We're not marking it now in tenths of a second. It happens to be 6.24, but it's a half a lap almost.
Darrell Waltrip took the lead for the first time on lap 244. He has led continuously since the 357th lap. We'll be back with more in a moment from Bristol. Can Darrell Waltrip hang on for another 19 laps? If he does, he'll win the Busch 500. He has about a 6.5-second lead now on Terry Labonte.
That was his brother, Mike Waltrip, in the 23 that he just passed, and Mike moved over again. There's Mike right behind Darrell. Mike moved over again. Darrell, plenty of room as he went by, because he said, big brother, I don't want to hit you as you go by.
Big brother is definitely watching. Mike is one of the 2 drivers really in the thick of it for the rookie championship for this year. Alan Kowicki is the other driver. We told you earlier that Kowicki is running in the top 10 about 2 laps down. There's Michael. Michael led Alan by about 10 points approximately in that rookie battle. Mike has been able to run all the races this year. Alan has not been able to run all of them, and that makes the difference. Kowicki, of course, had a 4th place finish this year.
Pushing Tim Richmond here as we go back and find that Earnhardt and Harry Gant still running together on the racetrack, and Jack Arute has some information on the Earnhardt machine.
Well, actually, it's just a point of view, gentlemen, and Benny, I think you can relate to this. Just about maybe 3 or 4 years ago, if a car was in the condition of Dale Earnhardt, the driver would come out of it at the end of 500 laps, and his hands would be just blistered. They'd have to peel them off the steering wheel. But with the advent of power steering, well, it's an assistance source, especially when your car is out of line. So it's not as bad for Earnhardt as it would have been, let's say, back in 1981.
Jack, how true, because power steering is the greatest thing that ever happened at this racetrack. Because of the bank and being banked as steep as it is, very, very hard to turn these cars without power steering. Your arms are just wore out once you finish this 500 laps. With power steering, it's not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but much easier than it used to be.
Well, you know, too, they've always said that Dale Earnhardt is one tough customer. I remember a race he won that we covered where the power steering went out, and he still completed the 500 laps.
That was an unbelievable day when Dale Earnhardt, without power steering, ran this racetrack and won the race on this racetrack. And that's when I believed him. When Wrangler says it's one tough customer, I believe him.
I remember one time when power steering first came out, Bob and Benny, Riley Beale telling me, hey, this is terrific. They just extended my career 5 years.
Well, Darrell Waltrip has now led the most laps. And should he win this race today, and there he is in the lead, he will gain 25 on Dale Earnhardt and will go to Darlington 116 points behind in the battle for the Winston Cup. And the checkered flag will fall in just 9 more laps. There's Junior Johnson, his car owner, watching from the pit area. Darrell Waltrip from Franklin, Tennessee, second in the Winston Cup point standings, has less than 5 laps to go, and he will win the Busch 500 here at Bristol International Raceway. He crosses the stripe and completes lap number 496.
Benny, he has made it look easy. And I want to say it's the Waltrip of old, but it's the Waltrip, a mirror image of the last 5 years.
You're exactly right. And, you know, he did make it look easy because the first half of the race, it was not easy. It was difficult for him. But the last couple of laps, he's kind of had it his own way, I'll tell you.
You know, it's really unusual. It seemed like there were 4 or 5 guys that were in it, and all of a sudden we had that long 150-lap green flag period after the delay for rain, and somehow Waltrip and Junior Johnson got themselves positioned where they were ahead of everybody in step.
They somehow got all the rest of the cars out of sync, and I'm not sure exactly how they done that.
Stevie Waltrip, his wife, Darrell's wife, watching from the pit area. Here comes Darrell out of the 4th corner. The white flag is being displayed by Harold Kinder, and Darrell Waltrip has 1 more lap to go. His advantage on Terry Labonte more than 8 seconds. He could coast home from here. He sets the car into turn number 3 on the high side of Mike Waltrip, his brother, and here they come off the 4th corner. It's Darrell Waltrip winning the Busch 500. Crosses the line, finishes in 2nd place. Jeff Bodine is going to be 3rd, a lap down, and then Dale Earnhardt and Harry Gant, unofficially in 4th and 5th.
At the top of the show, we said that this seems to be one of the first of the late season races that may be one of the pivotal points in the championship race for the Winston Cup. And I think we saw tonight Waltrip taking a stride.
He'll be 116 points behind Dale Earnhardt going to Darlington next Sunday. We'll be back to Victory Lane in a moment. Darrell Waltrip has moved himself into Victory Lane here at Bristol. He's unbuckling and will be getting out of the car in just a moment, and we'll have a chance to talk with him. Meanwhile, we'll review the top 10 finishers unofficially. Terry Labonte finishes 2nd, Bodine 3rd, Dale Earnhardt 4th, and Harry Gant 5th. 6 through 10, Tim Richmond, Richard Petty. 8th was Bobby Allison. 9th was Bobby Hillen Jr., so the Stavola cars finish 8th and 9th, and Alan Kulwicki has a 10th place finish under his belt. Darrell begins to climb out of the car, and let's go now to Jack Arute in Victory Lane.
Well, Darrell Waltrip is getting out of the car. Darrell, congratulations. Another page in the Bristol record book.
Thank you, Jackie. Got a kink in my knee right now, but I feel great. The car run good, and just want to thank the good Lord for a good, safe race.
Very reminiscent of the runs you've had for so many years here at Bristol behind the wheel of a Junior Johnson car. Just terrific. It looked like it was tight until about the halfway mark, and then, as they say, cream rises to the top.
Let's sit down, Jack.
Well, you can see that let's get down here with Darrell. Like I said,
when the cream gets ready, he'll rise back up to the top, but he ain't ready right now.
It was a physical beating then, huh?
It was a hard race, and I'm tired, and I can't say enough about my crew.
My car run great, thanks to Budweiser and Goodyear and Valvoline and Kentucky Fried Chicken and the Lord.
Hey, what about the run for the Winston Cup? Looks like another page the way you did it in 81 and in 82 and then last year.
I think everything's going to be all right, Jack. We get a few more runs in like tonight, and we may just have them going our way.
Well, we'll wait and see. Next stop is Darlington, and we'll be there.
Mother and father on everybody in Franklin. I love all of you.
Well, that's the story from Victory Lane. A little subdued. Darrell's down, but he's not out.
And our Winner's Circle interview has been brought to you by Goodyear Eagles. You either have Goodyear Eagles or you need them. Once again, the top 5 finishers here at the Busch 500 will be back to wrap it up in just a moment. Back at Bristol, where Darrell Waltrip has won the Busch 500. Benny?
I think that Darrell Waltrip served notice on Dale Earnhardt and Tim Richmond. He's going to be a factor for the Winston Cup again in 1986.
Larry Newber.
His 69th career win, Bob. He's now 36 behind David Pearson. Maybe that's the record within sight, second on the all-time list.
And Darrell Waltrip, a very tired race driver after having circled this half-mile racetrack with turns banked at 36 degrees for 500 grueling laps. Well, the Busch 500 has been brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have viewed from Darlington, South Carolina. Also, same-day delayed coverage of the IndyCar. AC Sparks. Ford.